Right, I think that's it. So good afternoon, everybody, whether you're watching online on YouTube live or here in the audience at Aberystwyth. Welcome to the commentary for round 8 of this year's 2014 British Chess Championship. Welcome, as usual, to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Ravikumar, International Master. How are you feeling this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm feeling absolutely fine, but there's two players who've taken a rest day today, very quickly, very predictable.
So the two Pert brothers have already drawn their game on board 2. Bit of anti-climax there, but it does enable us to feature the game Rudd versus Williams, which is bound to be as far removed from the 2 Perts one-move draw as is possible to be on the chessboard.
And the impact of those 2 draws is that it's taken Nicholas Pert to 6 points, and if there's a draw on board 1, so going into 3 rounds left, Jonathan Hawkins will have a full point lead and possibly play Nick Pert with 6 points, or if Ebden wins and he's color matching, he could do that. So that comfortable 1.5 point lead he had on the earlier round has been cut down because he had this game with Yang Fanzu, and I had the opportunity to meet him yesterday. And he was saying, I think he was seeing some kind of ghost coming at him because these knights were jumping up and down, and then at one moment he thought that he was going to lose the game. So and then he said eventually he steadied the ship and he made a draw.
Yes.
So and he did speak about that crucial moment, knight into c7.
Yes.
He saw that.
Yes.
And then he thought this is a better move.
Yeah, I see.
So obviously
well, of course, his run into the championship title is going to be very difficult because he only played 1 Grandmaster so far.
Yeah.
After 7 rounds.
Yeah.
And so today, this is really the acid test, isn't it? Black against Howe.
Yeah. And I think the other surprising was yesterday was a rest day, but we could see all the top Grandmasters coming in and spend looking at the under 9s. And there was Chris Ward was there. I had a quick chat with him. Chess players can't stay away from chess, can they?
All right. Well, let's get on with the game Howe versus Hawkins.
Okay.
And Howe must use the advantage of the white pieces to cut the gap between himself and his rivals. He's won his last 3 games.
Yeah.
So he's on a roll. So let's see what he comes out with this afternoon.
He's played d4.
D4. Well, look, that's already slightly unexpected for Howe, isn't it?
And Hawkins went knight f6.
I've hardly seen him play 1 d4 ever.
Yeah.
He almost always plays e4 or c4 and then g3.
Yeah.
So knight f6, yes.
Knight f6, knight f3.
Yes.
And usually Hawkins would play the King's Indian, but the situation at the top that he's sitting a comfortable point away from him, and he's playing black, and he should be hoping to keep it very simple, not risk everything in a King's Indian. If the situation was different, they're playing with level points, he might have gone to his pet King's Indian. So today he decides he's going to play something very, very solid, and he played d5.
Yep.
And c4, e6.
Yes.
And when he played knight c3,
yes,
he played bishop b4.
Right, now hang on a sec. Okay, any more moves first
There's
of all?
no more moves that Howell is thinking.
So basically we've been playing now for 33 minutes and they've only played 4 moves. Now this might seem extraordinary to the average player, but the basic point is that neither of them play these openings on a regular basis. Howell doesn't play d4 and c4, and Hawkins, well, as Ravi says, plays the King's Indian predominantly, not necessarily the Nimzo Indian. So they're looking for unexploded bombs every move, aren't they, in many respects?
And I think bishop b4 is possibly best, because when he plays the King's Indian, Hawkins is possibly looking to play aggressively, and bishop e7 wouldn't be his style. Well,
bishop b4 is more combative, isn't it? It takes us back into the Nimzo Indian defence.
Yeah.
Albeit one in which Black has committed himself to playing d5. But this is the old solid way they used to play the Nimzo, wasn't it?
Yeah. Solid. I think he's just going to keep it simple, solid today. And the thing is that Howell has used the lion's share of those number of minutes, and actually Hawkins has just used about 2.5 minutes, possibly.
Well, you know, this is transpositional. I mean, it could easily go back into, let's say, a Cambridge Springs or a Rogozin system, or stick with an IMSO Indian. It's not totally clear yet how Black is going to play this. It depends on what White does next.
I mean,
the Queen's Gambit move is, of course, Bishop G5.
Yeah.
But White could also consider Queen C2. He could also consider E3.
Yeah.
And he could also consider G3, because that was played in those famous games between Kasparov and Karpov, wasn't it? Back in their matches in the 1980s. Yeah. So White's got quite a wide choice. And it should be noted that a move like Queen A4, check, is also possible here.
Yeah.
That was one of the original recipes against the Rogozin, because it forces Knight C6, and now White can come in with Knight E5. But although White gets to take the two bishops off here, Black's got quite good development. And I'm not quite sure what the right move is. It might even be Knight takes. And then if pawn takes pawn, Knight B6, something like this. I'm not sure of the theory there, but anyway, a lot's going to hinge on what David Howe does next. And he's obviously taking some time to think about it.
Yeah.
Has he even played a move yet?
He hasn't played a move, and I think that from his position, you know, he needs a win, isn't it? He was the favorite at the start of this tournament until he had that, you know, little accident with Sam Williams. He could have had a draw on that, but he took the risk and he lost that game. That set him back, but then this 3 wins in a row has taken him back. But he's got this 1 point deficit he needs to think about. Well, he also needs to make the most of this White, I think.
Don't forget that Hawkins is renowned for his theory, isn't he?
Yeah.
So if Bishop G5, there's also the highly theoretical D takes C4, which I think is another variation. Again, it's the Vienna variation.
You know what's the joke about Hawkins' opening preparation?
No.
He's got the Fritz 16 opening book from Chester before it's even published. That's how advanced he is. Okay. He really updates his book. You know, he's on top of his game. You know, I mean, incredible guy. You know.
Well, in that case, Howe has got plenty to think about, and his next move is going to shape how this game goes. Right, so we're going to move on to Hebden versus Ems, another game in which both players would like to win. For Hebden, it's essential, I would have thought.
I have a question that, you know, I mean, some of the FIDE rules say you have to play a certain number of moves before you agree for a draw. But I think here, in just one move, both players have agreed for a draw in game number 2.
Well, Stuart Rubin agreed to draw in 0 moves against Tony Miles without even playing a single move. Is it? At Luton in 1975, yeah. Won on both first prize in the Open. There was a little bit of controversy about that, needless to say, which hasn't yet died away. Stuart was talking to me in the playing hall there, and he was talking about the shortness of the game between Perth, and I had to remind him about this game against Tony Miles. 0 moves, not a single move was played.
And they just came to the tournament all and shook hands.
That's it.
So I think neither trusted each other, isn't it?
Well, I think it was an effort to avoid hypocrisy, as Ruben put it. But then he would say that. If he comes in, I'm going to remind him of it again. So make sure he comes in here. We'll see what he comes out with. Well, there's obviously no rule at Luton in 1975, that's for sure. Now, well, clearly not. 1 move, E4, E5, draw. The position's completely equal, isn't it? Let's face it. We don't got worried all there. It's Sophia rules in Aberystwyth. Come on, let's get real.
Yeah. If it makes any better, you know, the higher rated player had black. So
that soothes the savage breast, doesn't it? Right.
Okay.
So let's get on with Hebden versus Ems.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what now?
So Hebden and Ems must have played, you know, many times.
Yeah, they must have played a colossal amount of times, I would have thought. But of course, John Ems, is, you know, he moved away from professional chess, raising a family and all that sort of thing. So they perhaps haven't played as much as they would have done had he carried on playing.
Yeah.
But they must have played a lot.
So how many games do you think Hebden has played, considering every weekend, every...
Am I trying to win a book? Do you know the precise figure?
Well, I think it must be quite...
In his chess career?
Huh?
In his chess career?
His chess career.
Well,
every single weekend. He's played since 1977.
At least 10,000.
10,000 tournaments.
Games. 10,000 tournaments? You're talking about 200 years old.
No, at least 10,000 games. You know, he used to play every weekend, and if you see, he's not much of a like a thinker other than critical positions. He just comes, he goes like a machine, bang.
And that's as a result of constant practice. Can we see some moves?
Yeah. D4.
Okay, that's what he normally does.
D5.
Right, so John M's also moving away from stuff he's played before. Keep going.
Yeah, C4.
Okay.
And now D C4.
Right, okay, so I wonder whether Hebden was expecting this. The Queen's Gambit accepted. Quite a good way to play for the win with black, but not especially fashionable. I don't know why that is. It's just comes in and out of fashion. The last time it was in fashion was when Kasparov was using it. Anand started to use it. And the last few years it's been a little on the back burner, but for no good reason. It's a pretty good opening. So anyway, what did White do? Knight F3?
Knight F3.
Right, now the main reason White plays Knight F3 in this position is to prevent black from playing E5.
And black played Knight F6.
Well, let me just show, because if White goes E3 here, black can play E5. And if White goes Knight C3, black can also play E5, which kind of frees the black game up. Now you can allow that with White, but that's why, actually the main line is Knight F3 and has been for a long time, just to stop that free and break. So carry on, what did he do?
So he played E3, E6.
E3, so that's a standard move.
Bishop into C4.
Hang on a minute. What did black play on move 3?
Knight F6.
Okay, so this is absolutely the main line.
E3, E6.
Right, now it's worth pointing out again that B5 in this position. This is a legacy of me teaching in schools, because whenever I show this position to kids, they always say, what happens if B5? Why can't we win a pawn? And then I say, well, probably A4 is quite a good move. And even so, in this position, this B3 move is the one which really is slightly problematic for black. If you want to play B5, believe it or not, you've got to play it here after Knight F3. And then it's slightly different actually because you haven't got B3 anymore. When you go E3, you can actually go here. There's some weird little variation that black can play. It's not particularly good, but it's worth pointing out. Anyway, they didn't do this, needless to say. Black played E6. And what did White play? Bishop takes pawn?
A6. Bishop takes C4.
Yeah.
A6.
A6. Okay, so essentially C5 is the main line, and black plays A6 here. And I think the main reason he does that is to avoid the incredibly boring lines that occur if White takes on C5. There are some lines that that White can play where he takes on C5. He can even castle first. Black plays A6 now, and now White takes on C5. That is also pretty dull.
Yeah.
But it's more dull for black than it is for White.
Isn't that the line that the entire Croatian team in some Olympiad, they played B3 and then took on C5, put the bishop on B2, castle, and then allowed B5, and then the bishop pulled back to E2, and then they went A4, and they're very, very successful in creating an outpost on C4.
It's a bit of a notorious variation. So I imagine A6 is just an attempt to avoid that line. And let's say White castles, black can play B5 before he actually plays C5.
So
he
Queen E2.
So, okay, so Hebden is right on top of the theory normally. So he plays Queen E2 first. So obviously now D takes C5 is not an issue. So I expect black to play C5.
Yeah. Now Queen
is
E2,
that
black
what he did?
played B5.
B5 first.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and then he went Bishop B3, which is, the usual move is Bishop B3. There's a very famous game with Bishop B3.
Well, lots of games, surely.
Yeah, the most famous one is when Boris Spassky was 9-year-old. There's a game against Antonov. He went Bishop B3 and C5.
Yes, and crushed him. Yeah,
and crushed him. That's a game that that's like you want to learn something about isolated pawn. That game, for a 9-year-old, you will see like he was way ahead in his thinking. So, but Bishop D3 is I guess is possible as well.
Well, it's an old-fashioned move. The point of it is to attack the black pawn chain with A4.
Yeah.
This is quite old-fashioned stuff.
And then M's went Bishop B7.
Bishop B7. Well, now can I play A4 straight away?
You can, but I think castling is better as happened in the game. and then knight bd7, and now the scene is set for c5. And because black has expanded a6 and b5, white now comes in with a4, which I think is quite a nice.
Well, that's one of the points of putting the bishop on d3. The other one, of course, is to support e4. But I imagine if white went e4 now, black, would he play c5?
Yeah, that's quite.
Probably would.
Yeah.
And then if white goes d5, black can choose here. He can block the position, or he can move his bishop or his queen. He could probably get away with queen c7, something like this, and then taking. Is this dangerous?
Yeah.
Doesn't look too dangerous. Maybe he could put the queen on b6, and that would stop the threat anyway. So white plays a4. Now black's got to decide what he's going to do with this pawn. Because if he pushes,
yeah, he had to put b4. And interesting.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Well, now of course white can go a5, can't he?
Yeah, a4, b4. Interesting point here is Hebden has just spent about 3 minutes to get into this position straight away, and Ems has spent about 22 minutes to get it. Because I think he's kind of working out what is the best way to go against this.
Well, I think when you play Hebden, you've got to avoid getting out of the opening with a small disadvantage, because that's the sort of position where his machine technique takes over.
Yeah.
And it's like a tank coming towards you. You can't stop.
Yeah.
You know,
Hebden
uses all these 10,000. That sort of scenario.
Yeah, especially when, one of the chat I had with him very briefly, and I said, how did you win the queen and pawn endgame? We thought it's going to go on and on. He said, no, it's just technique. I know what I was going to do. So, he's like, his mind is now programmed because of this 10,000 games, obviously. So that makes him a very formidable opponent who is going to take him on. And like Andrew said, if you've given him a slight edge, he's just on to you. He won't let you escape. You just pile up.
That's why he wins all these weekend tournaments on remote control.
Yeah.
Because weaker players, they just don't know how to handle this sort of feeling. That this machine is coming towards you. You can't stop it, because they don't know how to generate the complicated type of positions which actually send him into confusion. When you play Hebden, you've got to keep it really complicated. That's absolutely key to playing him.
I have a better solution. Don't play him.
Oh. Retire.
Retire from chess.
Okay, so what did Ems do?
b4. b4.
a5.
And he played e4, just going after. And I think the point he's making is that if c5, he can possibly play d5.
Well, can we just see this? Let's say white does go a5. Is black going to play c5 now?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
And now I must head for my knight to head to c4.
And scene d4.
Yeah, take the pawn.
And then you've taken the pawn. Yeah.
I
mean, when I can, kind of put one knight on d5, another knight on f6. It's not that.
It's not that bad, but in general,
I like e4 quite a bit because now if you play c5, it goes d5, and with a4 thrown in, and you opened up the c5 square.
Well, after e4, I'm certainly going to go c5. Why don't I play it now?
Yeah, d5.
Is that's what happened?
That didn't happen, but I'm thinking that's what he should have played, d5, and then
and if d5,
e5.
Well, it's much worse for black than it was before because you've had to concede the c4 square, haven't you?
Yeah.
So whereas before, for instance, in this position, it's different, isn't it? Because black's got more control over the queen side.
Yeah.
In this position, black's got less control.
Can black win that pawn? That's my question. If he plays ed,
yeah,
and he's got to play this more queen e7 because he can't play bishop e7 because of d6.
That looks rowdy.
And queen e7, is he going to just simply move the queen and get rook e1 or?
Looks lousy, Ravi, I have to say. Sorry to be candid.
But I'm winning the d5 pawn. Maybe.
Let's try queen c2.
And then if I just play queen d6 or something, your knight's heading to c4. I think that pawn can't be taken. That's the main point.
That queen on e7 looks a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're getting behind in development, and because of that, and you can see that when he played e4, Ems thought for quite some time.
You see, the problem for black, you're quite right in suggesting d5, because if black blocks with, let's say, e5, Now a5, and it's starting to get absolutely horrible for black, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the white knight is going to be manoeuvred to c4, and after that, black's going to be suffering. So, big decision for John Ems to make here.
Yeah, that's the first lesson. In if you come across a book called Simple Chess, the first lesson is get an outpost on c4, how to use it by Michael Steele. And I think it's run out of circulation, is it? Or it's still?
I think John Ems also wrote a book called Simple Chess. I'm not joking. I think he did. I think he did. I'm being confirmed by an erudite member of the audience. Okay, so e4. Black played. Has black played yet?
Yeah.
Before you plug yourself in, can you check me out with the
Bishop e7.
Eh?
Bishop e7.
Bishop e7. Okay, so clearly he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to.
And I think now that c5 could be in cards.
Yeah, probably.
So Hebden quickly played rook d1. You know, this is the skill that we were mentioning. You know, he knows the positions. What are the moves needed? You know, it doesn't take much time. And I think a lot of players, when they play Hebden, they get into time pressure, isn't it?
Very much so.
When you know he can
churn out the moves,
rook d1,
and they're all good.
And
castles.
Ems is thinking.
Well, let's have a look what he's thinking about. He's certainly thinking about the position of his queen on the same file as that rook. Okay, well, let's castle. What are you going to do? He's still plugging himself in, so I'll have to answer my own question. Not sure. I think that must be the best move, unless there's some move like e5. Is that any good? I don't know. You know, sometimes you can get away with this sort of stuff. Because knight comes to d5. Can I even get the queen into the business zone? Don't know. It's all a bit messy, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're opening up e4 and c4 for the knight, you know. Eventually, that's what's going to happen, isn't it?
You know, white could get a quick attack here, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Especially with h4 coming up, something like that. Of course, you've got to be careful, but, you know, that's the general idea. So if he doesn't castle, what does he do with black?
I think he's got a dilemma there, isn't it? What he's going to do.
Well, he wants to get c5 in, that's obvious, isn't it? He's got to get c5.
I mean, if he doesn't get c5, is it that bad?
Yes. Yes.
What happens if he plays some moves like a5 and c6?
You think you've got all day, don't you?
Right, I'm just waiting for you to play e5.
Okay, knight bd2.
Okay, and my plan is just castle now.
Castles now looks even worse than it did before. Okay.
Is there a no, knight d5?
Okay, play for mate. Say your prayers now.
Yeah, he can't do anything. That's the main problem with that.
That was quick, wasn't it? Okay, I enjoyed that. I'm not sure why you're not playing g6 in this position, but there you go. You just don't like black.
No, I don't like.
Oh.
I mean,
okay.
Even
so
after queen e4, is that pin on the bishop, isn't it? I mean, I can't get out of that pin. I mean, that's the main problem, you know. And that's what he's thinking about in that position, is that how is he going to take...
has he moved?
He hasn't made a move.
Right, in that case, we'll have a competition. You can win one of these splendid prizes if you can guess John Ems' next move. So, can we have some suggestions from the audience? Doesn't matter if it's the worst move in the world. If you get it, you get the book, right? Yes, Sheila. Castles, okay. Castles from a very informed member of the audience, Sheila Jackson. Okay, you can't use castles anymore. Sorry about that. Anybody else? Maybe c5. Have you come from the tournament hall, sir? Eh? Have you seen the move played? c5, okay. The highest rated players in the audience are all suggesting the most obvious move. c5. Eh? Anybody else? That was what I was thinking he might play. Queen b8. Okay, Queen b8. Okay, anybody else? Oh, he's plugged himself in now.
Okay.
That little noise.
I mean, let's see what. So he's got this one. What is white threatening now?
Has he played a move?
Hasn't played a move.
So it's castles, c5 or Queen b8.
Yeah,
it's an open competition. You can suggest in all manner of rubbish. You might win the book.
So what is white threatening? Knight bd2, knight c4.
Yeah, just to shunt my knight across the.
If he did nothing, knight bd2, knight c4.
Well, I quite like to flick in a5 as well. Knight bd2, knight c4, and a5, something like that, to increase my control of the
So
position.
I think c5.
Are you entering?
No, I'm thinking c5, d5, ed5, ed5. Can I castle there?
Any other moves? Or are we closing this competition to only 3 guesses?
A5.
A5, why not? Give it a punt. Okay, A5, yes, please. Rook C8, yes, it's as good as anything else. Knight F8, he won't play that. I'll give you 2 books if he plays that. All right, anybody else? Okay, I mean, they're all manner of lousy moves, yes, but my guess would be something, one of the first 3, castle C5 or queen B8. Right, Ravi, shall we move on and leave it like that?
Well, someone has won the prize.
It's over, is it?
Yeah.
What was the right move?
c5.
Who said C5?
I'm the gentleman and myself.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
FIDE master, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, round of applause, please. There we are.
You like the grandmaster against amateur or?
I don't know.
Don't spend too long.
Definitely not that.
Aren't you playing in the British Championship?
Yeah, I finished.
How do you get on?
I drew.
Okay. Are you playing Stuart Rubin? Sorry? All right. I tell you what, it took him less time to win the prize than he actually did to take it for the table. Right, okay, well done. Okay, congratulations. So the move was C5. Okay, Ravi. Now
So I
that's
think,
it. Takes the book, leaves. Really depressive for the commentary, isn't it? Okay. Sorry? That's it, yeah. Go back to check the next move on the board.
So is it c5, d5? So is he working that after d5, white's going to play ed5?
After D5, black's going to take it and castle this.
After d5 castles? Don't you?
After D5, I take the pawn, don't I? Then I castle, do I?
For d5 you could castle as well.
I could do, but I like you taking it.
Yeah. ed5.
Can I even take this pawn?
Oh, it's too risky, isn't it?
All right, well, I will take it then. We're going to test out your little theory here. Get out the mechanical monster. It says at least equal for black. We have to bow down to something graded 3,100.
So is he going to just leave the? Is he going to just leave that? Or he's just taken d into c5? So if knight c5, it's
Heaven
bishop-
took the pawn.
Yeah.
Ah.
So if knight c5, it's going to be bishop b5 check, but that doesn't work, does it?
So he took that pawn. Well, of course, it makes sense in the sense that the queen is on the same file as the rook. But that pawn's a goner, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what if I were to preface everything with queen c7? What if I were to do that? Would that make sense? Take away a lot of your tricks.
I think knight c4 you should play, isn't it? Bishop b5 check, you got knight bd7.
You want to play knight c5?
Yeah.
Looks risky. And then check. Just move the knight back to d7. A bit sharp, isn't it? It's sharp.
Yeah.
Why cut? But then I could take the knight and go knight e5, and then your position's getting into a right mess. I don't think you'll do this, Ravi. Honestly.
No, I don't think he should.
I mean, black's got to sack his queen probably. We're down to that now. Aren't we? Knight takes knight, and hope for the best.
So d takes c5, you play queen c7.
Yeah, I think queen c7. Is that not best? How are you going to stop me from just taking that pawn?
I think it's going to be e5 first.
Yeah, white's got to get e5. E5, okay.
e5, knight d5, bishop g5. And then that stops him from castling. You can have knight into c5.
Okay, I'll take it.
Bishop d7.
b7. All right, queen e7. Is that so bad? Looks all right, doesn't it? What's wrong with this? Looks okay for black to me. Looks like some sort of mirror. You get positions like this in the mirror, mate. Got to get your knight out, haven't you? I mean, I'm threatening several things. I'm threatening knight b3, I'm threatening knight f4, I'm even threatening to whip that bishop off. Isn't black fine? So, I mean, I don't know, queen c7 looks okay to me. Again, we can check it. Whilst we've got all the technology available, we might as well use it. There you go. It even says castles is okay. So Ems, by sticking to development, seems to have negated White's advantage in the opening. That move, I mean, if White has to play d takes c5 and it doesn't work, you know, in the sense that he doesn't get anything on the d file straight away, really, this is just like giving the set up. And, you know, at some stage, that's going to tell this lag in development on the queen side. All right, so we'll move on, and we'll move on to Rudd versus Williams, because we'll take that game before Yang Fan against Fernandez, because this game could finish at any moment, you understand. So can we have some moves, please? Okay. The speed of Jack Rudd is unrivaled.
So Simon Williams against Jack Rudd playing white. So e4, c5.
Okay.
Knight f3, d6.
Yeah.
d4, cd4, knight d4. Knight f6, knight c3, a6.
Okay, so these guys are actually showing new dimensions to their opening repertoire in this tournament, because Williams, haven't seen him play the knight off too often.
Okay, I think that's his next DVD, I think.
Oh, is it?
He started the dragon, he's finished with the dragon. He started playing the natural, you know.
Okay, well, let's see what he's got to show. This Jack,
a6.
Jack will not back down. Bishop
Play
g5.
bishop g5 straight away.
There you go, the sharpest move.
Yeah, e6 and f4.
This is going to be interesting. Okay.
And then queen to c7, queen to f3.
He played queen to c7.
Yeah.
Right, so that, of course, is slightly different to the norm, because it allows white to take on f6. Normally, black would play, well, knight bd7 or bishop e7 first, or queen b6 is the poison pawn, b5 is the polygon. So you've got loads of different lines. That is a lesser known variation. And white can take on f6 and play f5, something like this.
The other thing with Jack Rudd is that he doesn't wait, isn't it? He's straight at you, like he played the game against Nick Butt. You know, he was, you know, he just missed that, you know, like there's always this common saying that, you know, when you look at a check, you tend to give that check and then think further. So that's exactly what happened. I mean, it just goes directly, isn't it? I mean, he plays straight lines.
Completely direct. Yep, completely direct. So what do you do now?
So f4, queen c7, queen f3, b5.
So b5. Okay, so as soon as black does something like that, we've always got to examine moves like e5.
And he played a4, which is an interesting move.
Okay, so if I could just check this, I can see if there are any recent games very easily. Bang, there we are. Live from Hamburg. Lots of games from 2014. Not many high-rated players over 2,500, but well, lots of games anyway between a lot of players with very long names there.
Is that the best bet? I mean, isn't that like mixing a couple of things and, you know, like starting out with bishop g5 and queen f3, and then suddenly switching sides and playing a4?
Well, this has been seen loads of times. It's just an attempt by black to do something slightly different in the main line.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is bishop takes f6. I mean, if I click on reference, just in case you use ChessBase, I've got an older version here, but this is good enough. We'll see the stats. Castles is the most common move. Bishop takes f6 comes next. Bishop d3. a4 has not been played ever.
So that's the Jack Rudd speciality.
Or, which tends to suggest that it's not that great. Not because it's not a Jack Rudd speciality, but if nobody's played it before, then that's a bit suspicious. He
So
played a4 here.
Yeah, a4, b4.
No games found, right?
Yeah, knight a2.
Hang on a minute. So let's again use technology. 0 games found in the database. What does Deep Fritz 13 think of it? b4 equal. B4 was played.
Yeah, B4 was played, and then knight A2,
Knight A2, yes.
and then bishop B7.
Yep. Attacking the pawn on E4.
Yeah, and then now the solid bishop D3, defending that pawn.
Yep. As soon as that bishop goes to D3 as black, I'm thinking about knight D7 and then knight C5.
Yeah, and then he played knight BD7.
Yes, there we are.
And then we have a competition move.
Competition move?
You agree?
I completely agree with you, although we're running out of prizes.
I'll go and get a couple of...
Well, we can offer the Open Spanish or the Ottoman Gambit Guide. All you have to do is to get Jack Rudd's next move and explain it in a cogent fashion. Those nearest the door will be given very short shrift. Yes, sir?
Knight takes B4.
Well, there's a pawn on offer. The man perfectly reasonably grabs the pawn, but that's not what Jack played. Who said that? Sorry, sir. Wrong. Although, of course, it must be a good move. Remember, this is Jack Rudd. He's likely to come out with anything, and he does it fast. Oh, yes, sir. You were next. Castle's queenside is the correct move. Congratulations. That was the first part of the equation. The second part, why are you playing that move? Far more difficult than answering the first part of the question. Can I just point something out to you? What, straight into black's attack? You know, I never even saw the white castle short in this position. I don't know why. Maybe I'm programmed to castle long in this line. That's it. That's it. Okay. Well, I've heard some explanations in my time, but that was good. So please come and get your book. Round of applause for our friend there. Very good. Unlike some players in the championship, he knows how to castle. Well done. That's a reference to an earlier round. Okay, Randy's got more books here. Starting a small library. All right, so castles on the queen side. And black played knight c5 as is part of the program. Jack went rook h e1. Black went bishop e7. At some stage, Jack's going to take that pawn. He took it now. And what did black do on move 14?
Move 14, he played knight into b4. Black played rook c8.
Yep.
And Jack went f5.
As he does.
And queen to b6.
Right, now hang on a sec. So basically, first of all, e5. Is that hopeless?
e5 is just bishop f6 and knight d5. Quite powerful.
Why doesn't that lose a piece? Right?
Bishop into f6?
Yes, bishop takes f6.
Okay.
And for your next
oh, sorry, I didn't see the bishop on d7.
I'll let you take it back, it's all right.
I think, yeah. I think e5.
I mean, that's called an anti-positional because it gives him that square, but how does white exploit it?
Yeah, I think he has to play something because...
he must have something in mind.
Because, you know, you're threatening knight d3 check and I have to take with the queen. So you might just pull back knight d2 and then you play knight takes d3 check.
No, then you lose your e-pawn, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know why he did not play that and he's just played queen d6.
Well, I think it's got to be something taken off the knight. He's got to take the knight off. And then it's quite hard to see what's going on here. Knight d5, it must be played. Bishop takes knight, pawn takes. That must be the reason.
Yeah,
that's the reason, isn't it?
Yeah,
and they got this suddenly got this pin.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, you know, as black got enough compensation for this pawn, you know.
Well, I think that black probably is worse here, isn't he? Because the knight's coming into c6. Yeah, black's a pawn down as well. Again, it's hard to imagine that he's material behind in this position. So that is clearly why Williams did not play E5. So F5 just looks like a very good move.
So he played Queen B6.
Wait a minute, let's check this again. F5. Oh, it says it's bad for black. Queen A5 or Queen B6.
Yeah, Queen B6.
So I was taking that pawn too risky.
Yeah.
Rook C8.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just had to play C3 or King B1.
Yeah, and I think I've seen the next couple of moves, and I think Jack should be heading back here
Very shortly.
Very
For the early bath.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Before the break, I guess.
Before the break, yeah.
Even half an hour before the break.
All right. So Bishop take. What did he do again?
He played Queen B6.
Yeah.
And he played C3.
Queen B6, good move. C3, yes.
Knight into D3.
Yes.
And now Rook into D3. And now Queen into B4. There's absolutely nothing, isn't it?
Well, that's it.
But it's quite rude, isn't it? Like rude. No.
Well, he's got to take on E6 and start praying.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any tricks here?
And then he played Queen into B4.
Yeah.
And he's now taken on E6.
Yeah.
Has he got anything enough for this? You know, what's wrong with this position?
Black normally has this position in an Najdorf without being a piece up. Isn't it the truth? You know, if you played the Najdorf, you know that's the case. Let's see it from the other side.
So early, easy black passed out, and Simon Williams is going to jump back into the main.
Yeah, he's not coming back from this one, is he, against Simon? No way. No way. It's just too easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the British Championship, really. I mean, honestly.
It's.
He just created the right type of position where you've really got to think.
Yeah.
And you can't play instant moves, and that's it. But of course, it's a bit of an art.
Yeah.
Because again, Jack is very dangerous, isn't he? He can beat anybody.
Yeah.
You give him the right sort of position, he can completely wipe you out. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Could be Anand. It doesn't matter. He can wipe you out. So it's a bit of an art to create the right
But
position.
he can also wipe himself out, isn't it?
Well, that's clearly what's happening here. Yeah. Well, it's just a piece. I don't see. This is just a piece, right?
So what if black castles? I mean, if he plays EF7, Rook F7, that's even better for black, isn't it?
Castles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that does look quite strong, doesn't it?
Castles, maybe Knight F5.
I mean, I'm just wondering, why can't I take this pawn on A4? Let's have another one. Take on F7, so what? There's some move which is going to crush me off the board.
I mean,
here?
he playing A4, Knights being funny on B4 and D4, Queenside castling, it's all like recipe for,
Queen takes A4 is the best move.
That's before getting to dinner on time.
Get into the tea break. Okay, so that looks as though it's amazingly winning for black early in the game, which takes Yang Fan Zhu versus Fernandez.
Yes. And
now Fernandez with black in this tournament has been playing all sorts of stuff. He generally played the hippopotamus, didn't he? And he played that strange game where the knight went to E7.
Yeah.
I think he really does believe he can play these ropey systems and get away with it. But against Yang Fan again, a very dangerous opponent.
Yeah.
I can't see him playing the hippopotamus again.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think that a couple of juniors went and met him while he was having dinner with his the other
his brother,
Tan.
Oh yes, yeah, the guy who won the book.
Yeah, the guy who won the book, and so he said, "What would you advise me?" And he said, "Don't play openings like me." That's exactly what he said. And then the two juniors were completely, dazzled. Why is he saying not to play openings like him? But he's playing.
There are two of them. There's Fernandez and there's Marcus Harvey. They're both tremendously talented players, but my impression is they're really lazy. They just don't bother with opening theory. Just try and get a position out of the opening, then try and outplay you or outsit you.
I think he must have, something.
That's the legacy of playing a lot of internet blitz. If you want to be good at chess, you do not play internet blitz. Right? Cut it out. because you just get into bad habits. You'll get in your mind. You're kind of like a god if you win 1,000 blitz games in a row. You can play any old rubbish and just out-sit the opponent or win on time. That's the mental framework of some of these players, and
but
you just can't do that in a real game.
Yeah, I think that meeting with those two juniors, I think, must have felt responsible. And today he comes in and plays mainline Sicilian.
Mainline Sicilian. Okay, let's see it. Come on then.
D4,
Does he know anything
C5.
about it? That's the next question.
Knight f3, d6.
Yeah.
d4, cd4.
Yeah.
Knight d4, knight f6.
Okay. Knight c3.
Knight c3, a6.
Fernandez is playing the knight off.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's done his prep.
I think he felt responsible that he's got to show that he can play some mainline system, isn't he?
Well, he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
So of course, if he learned it, he'd be a much more formidable player than he actually is at the moment. And
So,
he's pretty strong now.
Yeah, English attack now coming in with bishop e3.
Right. So if you don't know this with black, you're going to get crushed. That is it. Right. So let's hope he knows what he's doing. Okay. Let's go.
It's knight g4 the main line.
Well, that's one line, isn't it? Yeah. And e5 is the main line, and e6.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Top level chess e5 straight away, and then
Or e6. E6 is a bit old fashioned.
It's out of fashion, running on.
Out of fashion. But not. What did he do then? Don't keep us.
He played e6. He didn't go stop.
Well, okay, that's what's wrong with that. It's kind of now Shevin injured.
No, it's absolutely fine. And e6, and then white went f3.
But this is, it's even more critical that black knows exactly what he's doing in these lines. So knight bd7, or is it h5?
F3, bishop e7.
Yeah, really, this is. I'm getting a bit suspicious that he doesn't really know.
Queen d2.
Because black's not really. Is he supposed to play bishop e7?
And
Any e9 buffs here. I'm pretty sure that Topolov plays some move like this at some point.
He played h5.
I think he's to play it now.
He played h5.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the motivation behind that is that White's going to play g4. So as soon as you see him limbering up for g4, you play h5. I think I've seen it played in this position as well. Something like this.
So h5 was played.
Right away.
Yeah. Bishop to c4.
I would never have been able to guess this opening from Fernandez because this is right on top of modern theory. So
Bishop c4, knight c6.
Bishop c4, that's all another departure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can we just check this? Let's just see only a handful of games. We go back to one more move. Let's have a look at the stats here. Vast majority of games with b5. And you can see from the names and the ELO, this is an opening debated at the very highest level of world chess all the time. So that's why you've got to be on top of the theory, because the chances are Yang Fan studied these games. He knows exactly what he should be doing. You can be obliterated. But of course, the same goes for Fernandez. So
bishop c4.
Bishop c4. Hang on. Only a handful of games. Anything from 2014? Nothing. Okay.
And then knight c6.
Knight c6. Okay, just a sec.
And then long castle.
The games are no. White hasn't moved his queen yet.
Played queen d2.
Okay, thank you. And now for black.
Played knight queen d2.
Yeah.
Now bishop c. Queen d2 was played in the opening. I think you missed. Your queen's already on d2, isn't it? This is the position. Knight c6.
f3. h5.
h5. Queen d2.
Queen d2. Right. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Knight c6.
Yes.
Bishop c4.
Okay.
Bishop e7.
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong move. Sorry. I think we've got to go from the opening when he played e6.
Yeah.
f3. He played bishop e7 straight away.
Bishop e7 straight away. Okay. Queen d2.
Bishop e7. Queen d2. h5.
Okay. Just a minute. 18 games. So already the suspicion is it's slightly off the beaten track. Bishop c4 was played in the only game from 2014. Da Silva Borges versus Brito. I would be gobsmacked if either of the players knew that reference. Right, let's carry on.
So queen d2, h5.
Yeah, as you
Bishop
do.
c4, knight c6.
Yeah,
Long castle.
yeah. This game's
Knight
headed
A5,
off the beaten track.
Bishop B3,
Yeah,
Queen C7,
yeah.
and I think I can see moves coming with much quicker. And now H3.
Oh, the famous game Ongai versus Komjati, 2009. The Elo White 1910. So they're following a game between the 1910 and the 2005, which White won after Rook HG1. I knew this was heading into the jungle.
So White played H3. White played H3, renewing the G4 move threat, which is the main thing.
Right, so hang on a minute. Where's Black going to put his king? Can you answer that delicate question for me, Ravi?
Okay, I think the king is possibly going to castle on the queen side.
Really, you're really risking everything when you say that.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly, I think that's the best place, isn't it? You can't leave it on E8 because I can see that he's going to put the bishop on B7. He's going to take off the bishop on B3. And then he's going to do the long castle and king B8, which is, I think, is you know.
I mean, in a way, Fernandez has turned this into one of his usual melees, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of his usual, very unusual types of positions. Because that H5 move, I mean, if Black had a pawn on H7, then it would look normal. But H5, it looks so weird.
Yeah. So White played H3 here.
All right, so G4. Yeah. Did Black play H4?
And then Black has to play H4. And now White played King B1.
Right.
And
Bishop D7?
no, he played Knight C4. Interestingly, Knight C4. I think he's going after the E3 bishop, and he would rather not take on B3, because can we show that pawn structure to the audience that after Knight B3, A B3, it's quite hard to break that structure, isn't it? The only way you can do is A5, A4 and do that. That's the only structure.
So what's White going to do? Is he going to play F4 and get the get the game open by playing E5 or F5?
Yeah.
Because White's got to open up this game at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still the same after Knight C4. I presume he's got to. Is he got to take that knight? Which bishop is he going to keep?
Mm-hmm.
That's always an interesting question. Could he keep the bishop on B3?
Yeah, but I think he did
Queen E2 or
yeah.
something like that. Queen D3.
Yeah, he played Queen E2 for Knight C4 was played.
Right.
And he played Queen E2.
Okay.
And then Knight into E3, Queen into E3.
Yeah.
And is it possible to give a competition move now?
Can I see? Oh yes, definitely for that. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. We're going to have a new rule. People nearest the door can't enter.
Title reads Power Chess at its best. Victor Bologan's selected games.
Okay, we're offering Victor Bologan selected games. And you have to guess Fernandez's next move. There we are. It must be something unusual, otherwise Ravi wouldn't have chosen it. Can I just see it again? Can't believe what I'm seeing. Oh yeah, okay, right.
Okay, fine.
Who said that? Rob.
I mean, rook h5 is a good idea. You know, I mean, you're trying to shift that rook to.
Let's get it in the business. So let's fight him. Simple as that.
I mean, the most common plan here is bishop d7 and long castle. So. Yes,
You're not bluffing, you're bluffing the audience.
Yes, get it.
Oh, wait a minute.
Huh?
Who said that?
The boy in the back. Get in out.
Rob. Yes, sir.
Castles.
Castles. All stations to Jack, run. That move. No.
Oh.
I know you won a book already. No libraries. Yes, please.
Knight H5.
Knight H5 with delicate chances of control on the king side. Nope.
No.
Closest so far. This is a tough one, actually. This is a tough one. Sorry?
Knight D7?
Well, again, Knight D7. Just that kind of invites a sacrifice on E6, doesn't it? I mean, it does. It's only a short step to disaster, as they say. That could be extremely unpleasant, actually. Bishop takes e6. You really do not want to allow that. Okay, no, sorry about that. Yes, sir.
G5.
G5. Why not play it on move 1? Why delay it? Why delay it? Basman loves that. That looks suitably mental. So what does that do, actually? Queen takes pawn. Knight takes pawn. Is that the idea? He's silenced. Was it G5, Ravi?
Yes, it was G5.
Can I see that? It was G5. Well, at least you're on the same wavelength as Fernandez, so you can have that book. Well done. Maybe a round of applause. I would never have got that in a month of Sunday. Right, now we go back one move and we see what our friend is thinking. Grade 3100. Surprisingly, G5 is not on the horizon of this computer.
You said the previous person.
Yeah, he was quite close, trying to control the dark space. It's audacious, isn't it? It's audacious. That's what Fernandez. That's a style. That's how he can be described. It is audacious, isn't it?
Yeah.
He sort of takes the game to you in a slightly strange way. Yeah. Right. So the computer's giving Queen C5 and E5, slight plus to white. Let's see what it does when I play G5. Okay, goes up, but not by much. Okay, so it's an audacious move. Audacious. He's trying to control the squares here in the centre. Probably knight H5 is coming. All right, so interesting.
So
what did Yang Fan do?
White played rook H to E1.
Okay.
And now he goes back to the normal mode with bishop D7. I think the point he tries to establish is that white can't go F4 and go into that any kind of advance. And I think that Yang Fan now has to find a way to attack, isn't it? He played rook H1, bishop D7. So if black castles on the queen side,
I think he may well do that. Well, I don't know. I'm looking for a way for white to open the game up. Knight D5, yes. Well, that's certainly interesting. That's the sort of thing white should be thinking about doing.
I think it's knight D5. I can just play knight into D5 and then E into D5, E5. Is that?
Ooh. I don't know, C3 maybe? Looks slightly better for white positionally, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because black's squares on the king side are a bit weak. Well, but of course, if that's the best black can do, then knight D5 is a definite move here. The question is, what happens if he takes it?
And then you have to take by the pawn, and then can he now play knight G8 or?
Well, if he plays knight G8, then you've always got this move to worry about. And if you castle, I've got queen here. Getting very messy, isn't it? Yeah, just take this, take another pawn. How many pawns is that? A lot at the moment. I don't know. It'll take some guts to play knight D5, that's for sure. Let's have a look at it from the other side. Can we see a break to open up the position? Well, the other move, of course, is knight F5, isn't it? If you're going to sack a piece, I mean, you could do it this way round. But I think probably there, black can take that pawn. He can take it and then take it again. So, okay, he's throwing down the gauntlet to Yang Fan. He's saying, how can you open up this game? If you can't, I'm going to keep control of these dark squares in the centre and shut you out.
Do we know what the clock times are?
Well, the clock times are 1 hour and 8 minutes for black, and Yang Fan has 58 minutes left on his clock.
Now the computer is suggesting that queen takes G5 is playable here with big advantage for white. So that means that knight takes e4 is going to be answered by knight d5. What about this? This is warming up a bit, isn't it?
It's harder to see this.
That's a better way to play. A better way to play knight d5. I would say that is interesting stuff. I wonder if you'll see that. So queen takes g5, and now it says the best move for black is just to castle or play knight h5. Knight h5 makes sense. Queen comes back, black castles, and now f4. Yeah, I mean, I think if Yang fancies this, he'll go for it because this is a pawn, and black got some compensation, but should be better for white. So let's just see this. Turn off the computer for a second. Come to the position.
So what happens to queen g5 long castle?
Yes, castle the queen. So well, white moves his queen away, I presume, having nabbed that pawn. Just go away again. Isn't that going to transpose to the other line?
Or are you coming back to queen d2?
Yeah, just run away and play f4 again. I mean, if it wins a pawn, then he should play it, shouldn't he? I wonder if Fernandez just thinks he can get away with. I mean, it's very, very easy to miss knight d5, isn't it? But it looks crushing, actually. So it looks like the only way to challenge the black setup is to play queen takes g5.
But you know, I mean, like when Fernandez played g5, was he only thinking, oh, okay, like quite often, quite a few chess players do it, like his queen g5 is knight to d4. Okay, I'm happy with that. But now, you know, he got this knight d5. I think he might not have considered, you know, beyond that at that point, isn't it?
He could still be thinking that queen takes g5 is unplayable. So that is a very crucial moment in the game. Very critical, because if white doesn't play queen takes g5, then he might not have anything. Right, so let's go back. So Hal Hawkins didn't get very far with that. Can we have some more moves? We're waiting for Hal's next move. Move 5.
So we left at bishop g5, isn't it?
Bishop b4. Did he play bishop g5?
Bishop b4, he played queen a4.
Oh, boring. Okay, knight c6.
Knight c6.
Knight e5.
Bishop g5.
Oh.
D takes e4.
Yep.
a3.
Okay.
Bishop into c3. B into c3. Queen d5. Bishop takes f6. G takes f6. Queen c2. Has Howell now created...
Queen c2 right away?
Yeah, as he created an unbalanced position, that's what he wanted, isn't it? When you know, when he took out this, isn't it? I mean, Hawkins has problems with that bishop on c8, isn't it? And
does he?
Yeah, well, he can't put the bishop on d7, but the white bishop is going to appear on d2. So he went knight a5, vacating the c6 for the bishop. So he's a solid pawn up, and now.
I mean, how's you know, as you say, how's a pawn down? He's got to prove it.
Howell plays g3, and I expect here something like bishop d7, bishop g2, bishop c6, and.
Well, okay, first question to you. How suicidal is it if I play b5?
No, I don't think you should play b5.
Well, show me why.
Bishop g2.
Bishop b7.
So if you play b5, can you play e4 and then do all that stuff?
b5, okay.
I mean, it is developing into a very interesting...
Queen h5.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just right off the top of my head. The b5 probably a lot of rubbish, but he played g3 in this position.
Yeah.
Well, according to the computer, b6 is good. with a clear advantage to black. Bishop d7.
And the interesting part is that
Hawkins does tend to play a lot of computer moves, doesn't he? You know what I mean? He must have studied with them a lot, because he tends to play like them. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him playing b6.
So Howell is now down to 25 minutes for the next 29 moves.
And he hasn't achieved very much, has he?
And Hawkins is thinking. Hawkins has an hour and 30 minutes. So, you know, quite comfortable time-wise. And I think he's a pawn up. And, you know, I mean, if kind of Howell overextends, you know, this could be another, you know, classic situation, you know. I think black has got what he wanted, isn't it? I mean, the only question is, where are you going to put your queen for e4? If black plays bishop d7, and then if you play e4, where are you going to put your queen?
Well, according to the computer, queen b5.
And then are you putting the bishop on c6 for some reason?
Probably. So that's the position. Hawkins
the position
thinking.
is Hawkins. White played g3.
Yep.
And Hawkins is thinking. And the other thing is that, you know, is David Howell, is he going to handle time pressure well? Has he shown that to us?
Yeah, he's usually extremely good in time pressure.
Okay.
But of course, there are positions and positions, aren't there?
So there's nothing to be worried that he's got 25 minutes for 29 moves.
I think I'd be worried if I was him, because I'm a pawn down with no clear way of getting it back. You know, I've got a compensation, but if black plays b6 like the computer says, I just don't see quite what White's doing. I suppose he wants to play b6 because he's thinking of casting on the queen side. You know, where's the compensation?
Should black play f5 now to stop e4? And then when you play bishop g2, just play bishop d7.
Maybe. All right, so that's it. G3, and Howell is thinking. It's sorry, Hawkins is thinking. It looks as though it should be better for black. Hebden Ems. D takes c5 was the last move.
Okay.
And what did Ems play? Move 12.
Yeah, just getting to that. Okay, move number 12. Castle.
Okay, so that was also a possibility.
Bishop to g5.
Okay, that's tying down the black queen.
Knight into c5.
Okay, so he really is. Now that is risking bishop takes a6, isn't it? Ah, no, because if bishop takes a6, black can take it. And then although the white rook's on black's queen, black can take white's queen. All right, so that is negotiable.
And then he played bishop c2.
Okay.
And
queen
knight
c7.
fd7.
Knight fd7.
Yeah. Bishop takes e7. Queen takes e7. Knight bd2. Okay. The situation now in terms of time is that Hebden has played this very quickly. He's got an hour and 24 minutes on his clock, and John Ems has 33 minutes. You know, both Howell and Ems seems to be perennially getting into time pressure and, you know, working their way out of it, isn't it? I mean,
well, I mean, the first thought is that white must be a little bit better here because of black's pawn on b4. It looks quite weak. Of course, black could play a5 himself, but that leaves b5 as a weak square, doesn't it? I'm just slightly worried I might have to look after this pawn, and Hebden would like this, wouldn't he?
yeah,
Just gradually,
you know, getting
zeroing in on this pawn.
Yeah, getting his knight to c4, d6 is a weakness. He's holding all his, you know, key moves like e5. He's not committing to it, isn't it?
Is White thinking about playing a5 himself, just to freeze that pawn? He probably is in a position like this. So I think Ems has got to make a really good move here to claim equality. What about a5? Is that so bad?
a5, I think White can go queen e3 as well. You know, he's got this little nagging moves to just improve the position. Much better, isn't it?
Well, do you think that improves the position?
Yeah. White, I'm quite happy with White. You know, he's going to put a knight on c4. He probably can play b3, and then once the knight sits on c4, you have trouble on d6 square, isn't it?
Yeah, I could certainly see some trouble brewing here with black.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, one is that that Hebden has got loads of time, and the other thing is that Ems has to find all these 24 moves to be found within 31 minutes. That is going to put some pressure, isn't it? And what happens if you play a few standard moves and then suddenly you find yourself in a difficult position where you've got to try to solve your...
All right, let me try and play a standard move then. I'll play a standard move, rook fd8.
Rook of d8, knight c4.
Knight c4, okay. So are you threatening anything just yet?
I just want to play e5 at the right time. My only concern is, are you going to play b3 now?
Well, I was mulling it over. I didn't quite.
So maybe even for rook of d8, just b3. That makes me very comfortable.
Just to shut this down. Yeah. Yeah, you see, it's not easy for black because of this pawn on b4. And I imagine if we turn the computer on, it will show slight advantage to white. I'm guessing +4, +5. No, equal. Rook fd8 or rook ac8. Doesn't give your move though. Rook fd8, b3. Says knight f6 is slightly better for black. Yeah. Changing its mind, coming back. Okay, so maybe John Ems is okay here, but I think Mark Hebden will be reasonably happy. I think he'll probably feel he can eke some advantage out here.
Yeah. And then if we can go back to Jack's game, I don't think he's going to get here. I think the position has developed a bit more, because it's quite complicated now.
Right, so this position, it looked as though Rudd had just blundered a piece, basically. And he's trying to scratch up some compensation. According to the computer, queen takes a4 is the only critical move on move
he played queen
18.
a4.
Yes. Whoops,
and white played king b1.
Hang on. King b1, yes.
And then he played rook c5.
Right, so according to the castles or f takes e6, rook c5, yes.
Yeah, and then now Jack went bishop into f6, Hard moves to play, isn't it? Bishop into f6.
All right, bishop takes f6.
Bishop takes f6, knight f5. Castle.
Yeah.
e7. Finally gets a pawn on e7.
Rook e8, minus 3.5.
He played rook b8.
Rook b8?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't like that as much as rook e8.
And then rook into d6.
Rook b8, rook takes d6.
I think it's a little bit complicated, but I still prefer black, isn't it?
Oh, let's turn the machine off for a second.
I mean, looking at that position, I think from completely nothing for Jack, he's now got a pawn on e7. He's got his massive knight on f5. Unless Fritz can find a winning sequence. And I think this is, there are threats like rook into f6 now, isn't it? That's the major threat.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right then, I'll take your word for it. Right, what if I go queen b5?
Queen b5.
I refuse to be
And if I play...
bluffed by you.
I know you're threatening queen b2.
I might be.
Yeah, and I got to go rook f6, isn't it?
Rook f6, okay, okay. Bishop takes e4 check. Thank you very much for the game. It's nice knowing you.
So queen b5.
Well, you resigned this one, have you?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
So, all right. What about queen b5?
So queen b5, you're threatening queen into...
Bishop a4 is my threat.
Yeah. So should he play something like rook e2?
Well, but the thing is, if he goes there, then I think we can now think about moves like rook e5, rook f5, can't we?
Rook f5, queen f5. Rook f5 is a threat, so he can't play rook e2 as well.
Well, I think you can play rook e2, can't you?
Yeah, because of rook d8 check. No.
Yeah, rook f5. Rook f5 wins, doesn't it? You can't play rook e2, can you? Because if you take with the queen, your rook's hanging. If you take with the pawn, I take the queen, and I'm covering e8, which was a bit lucky, but I think it's okay.
So he's got to find this key move, isn't it?
Well, is that the move? Queen b5? I don't know.
So queen b5, should he come rook d2 back? Or then
Well, but if you start going backwards, then I mean, I've got various moves here.
so queen b5, should I play knight f6 check?
Knight h6 check. I'll just take it, don't I? Bishop e4 is the primary threat, so you don't have any time. Yeah, if we just go back to e7, according to the machine, rook e8 was safe as houses and gives black a winning position straight away because it cuts out a lot of tactics, doesn't it?
So what does the machine say about queen b5? I think that's kind of Sam Williams move. You will find that move.
Better for white, believe it or not.
Well,
Queen's the pawn. Oh, now it's gone to equal. You queen the pawn,
and then
take on f6. It's a decoy. You decoy one of the black pieces off the b file, and then play rook takes f6. So it's not that easy, is it? So what should you do? Rook takes f5 or rook b5? Are they both roughly stand as equal? Not especially easy moves to find, are they?
no. I'm thinking that can I allow you to play rook f6 and can I now just go back to c8? Doesn't work with it. So what happens if he plays?
Well, I think Jack's back in the game. He's much more in the game now than he was before.
Don't think he's coming in for the break to share his thoughts, but maybe possibly after the break.
So rook b5 or rook takes f5. We're waiting to see what Williams does. All right, Yang Fan against Fernandez. Now, has he played queen takes g5? Has he played the bold queen takes g5? Without that, white probably isn't getting anything in this position, amazingly. Move 17, white. We're waiting for this move, queen takes pawn.
So he played rook at e1,
yes.
bishop d7,
yes.
And then he played rook e2.
Ah, he didn't play queen takes g5. Well, I imagine Fernandez is all right now.
Yeah, rook e2, and then he's played queen c5. It's kind of okay, isn't it? I mean, he's getting...
Okay now.
Yeah.
I think he's okay. I think the game's turned on that move. He had to play queen takes pawn when he had the chance. Yes, I mean, black's got a good grip on the central dark squares. He can perhaps put his queen on e5. He could play his knight to h5. He can cast on the queen's side. The onus is on white, really, to prove something now. Anybody see anything? I mean, I'm sure the computer will confirm that black is fine. There you are, the evaluations come right down. So that rook e2 was a kind of nothing move, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It says basically, I actually don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
So I'll just make a neutral move until I actually realise what's actually happening in this position. Because that takes away all of white's advantage. He had to take on g5. And then the computer's showing another interesting move here. Rook h5 that we didn't look at. Queen d2. Actually, I fail to understand why rook h5 is any better or worse than the other moves. White had to go queen g5. And for those of you just coming in, the key point is that when black goes knight takes e4, white's got this superb move, knight d5. Which probably Yang Fan didn't see. So rook e2, queen c5, and now black is fine. What's wrong with black's position? Two bishops, control of the dark squares, it seems absolutely fine. So he's got away with his audacious play. He should play the knight off more often.
We have one more move in the exciting game between Jack Ryder and Sam Williams. Sam Williams just played Rook A5.
Rook A5?
Yeah.
Woo.
Is that losing now for him? Is that
Why can't I play Rook takes F6?
Six, and then I think he's going to go Queen A1 check.
King moves.
King C2, Queen and D1. So it has to be
Rook
some.
F6. Check. King it. You're going to play that?
And then you have knight at 6 check now.
Well, certainly thinking about it.
Yeah, knight at 6 check now. I think is that what he's missed now? Because if I don't have Queen G3 check.
Looking. I mean, I'm
So
looking.
he's simply threatening. He's simply now threatening. Queen A1 check, King C2, Queen and D1, and I'm.
Well, have you got any moves here? You are threatening Bishop takes E4, aren't you?
Yeah.
Demolishing me.
What are the engines?
So I've got to be careful. But what if I play? Oh, I see.
I think engine must be giving you minus plus now.
What, you think black's winning? White's winning this?
No, black is winning unless white has something surprising.
Well,
Rook to D8.
Rook to D8, rook into D8,
He takes
queen
it.
to D8, queen into bishop into D8. So can white now play something like Queen G3? Can't, can he? So that's bishop E4 check.
yeah, knight H6 is the move I'm worried about. Because there's a discovered attack on the rook at B8. So knight H6 check.
Yeah,
If he goes into the corner, that's rubbish, isn't it?
yeah.
So you've got to take it.
Queen G3 check.
And now we've got an interesting move.
No, Queen G3 check. You're all right.
Then he goes rook G5.
No, Queen G3 check. You go rook G5. Then you go rook D8 check.
Rook takes.
Okay, so you got that.
But the move I'm looking at here clearly is queen takes bishop.
And what happens if I play bishop E4 check?
Bishop E4 check. Does that finish me off?
King
Why
C1,
can't I run to
Queen
D2?
A1.
Then check a take on D2. Damn.
So can we just confirm by getting?
Mate on C2, yeah.
Can we just confirm by getting Fritz on?
Lazy guy. All right.
I'd like to know whether Jack is going to be back in 10 minutes or not.
Looks like a good move according to the comp.
Is it minus plus straight away?
It's looking
Come on, Jack, 10 minutes and counting.
much better for black.
Yeah.
White
He's
has
played
no
rook with
move.
F6, and I think,
You play rook F6.
yeah,
Now it's queen A1 check and queen takes rook minus 7.28,
Queen A1 check,
which means it's gone downhill slightly.
Queen A1 check, King C2, Queen into E1.
Hang
You got
on.
any
So
threat
here,
like
here.
Knight D6? No, nothing.
On knight D6, according to the computer, you just keep taking things. There's a surprise. Pawn takes rook. No, for one brief moment there, we thought Jack had got back into the game, but maybe not. It looks like the queen check and just queen takes rook will do the trick. Probably the best chance to give it a shot, huh? So let's just see. So check, king takes.
Queen A1 check played in the game.
Yeah.
Then we got about 7 minutes before.
Well, I mean, one of the main key elements of that queen on E1, it not only took off a rook, it threatens bishop E4 check, and it stops queen G3 check. So
Queen
it's
C2 played by
incredibly
Jack,
useful.
and I think
He's
Queen
going to take the
E1,
rook. He's going to take the rook.
I shall keep an eye on the door, sir. Jack's.
Jack's arriving.
It might be interesting to get. Would Sam Williams come and demonstrate this?
Well, he might do. Let's see what happens first.
So I think it's King C2, and then he's going to play Queen into E1. And there's knight at 6 check leading to nothing.
Well, I mean, having come down the back there and taken that pawn off, the only other move is he's looking at bishop takes E4. Does that mate? Because of course black's getting ready to take on
So after
B2.
If you play Queen E1, if I play knight E6, how are you winning that game?
Well, just let's take a look at this bishop E4 because that's what he's looking at, isn't it? Does that mate? Must come close, but probably not.
So he's played king c2. And queen e1, I think he's going to play knight d6.
Queen e1, knight d6.
Yeah. He's threatening to play knight into b7. Unless, you know, black can find something to win. It's hard.
Well, what are you doing there? You're not threatening anything, are you? But are you threatening anything in particular?
No. I'm 2 moves away, rook f7, and then.
Okay, so that's a long time in chess, isn't it? What if I was to play rook, a cold-blooded rook e5, and ask you what you are actually doing?
Yeah, he's just thinking, you know, the only person who can delay Jack coming back is.
Well, I'm sure what he's thinking
Stan
about
Williams.
is, does bishop
Taking
takes
more time.
e4 mate? And it probably doesn't, does it? Check this out here. Even that's plus. Oh, that's turned into plus 10 in favour of white. That's not a good idea, then. Have you ever seen such a turnaround on one move? From -7 to plus 10 in the other guy's favour. Okay, I think that's my worst move of the tournament.
What, rook e5?
Bishop takes e4 check. It turns from -7 to plus 11 now. My God, this is. There's not many moves in chess that have an 18-point swing. Yeah, so queen e1 seems to do the job. And black is struggling. White's struggling. Knight d6. Yeah, we just take the rook on that move, right?
Yeah.
Pawn takes rook. And you're not actually threatening anything.
Yeah.
Any more moves?
No. Can we jump back to Howell's game? There's a few.
Yes,
more.
absolutely. G3. Did he play b6?
He play b6.
There you are, see? He works with a machine, he plays like the machine. That's how you become. So that's it.
Bishop g2.
Yeah,
Bishop b7.
yeah.
Castle, long castle.
Okay.
And then competition move.
Quite right. Okay. What should we give out this time? They can have the pick of the stall, right, for this one?
Yeah.
Pick of the stall. Right, so just to set the scene, David Howe is running a little bit short of time. He's only got 14 minutes left for a lot of moves. What did White play here? And you can have any one of these fine books if you get it right. Well, that I classify as the obvious move. The move that we all look at first, but he didn't do that. They have to stick your hands up for this because, yes sir, only won a book already. Sorry. Only one prize per punter per day.
Come on, Jack. 4 more minutes left.
What did Howe play? The commentary record is 29 moves without guessing the right move in 29 moves in 1989. There you go. Levitt Fleer, I remember it well.
Rook e1.
Who said that? Which one?
Rook f1.
No. Who said that? Who said that?
I only said it because it's a rook f.
That's not right either.
Perhaps we can ask experienced arbiter Neville. Do you think?
Nice.
91. Nope. That's 4 moves. Trying to get Howe's move here.
Before the break, Jack is going to be back. I'm going to get some.
Is it over?
Yes, sir.
You're going to go and get Simon Williams?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll bring my bet.
Right, Ravi's going to try and get Simon Williams. He's running, which is quite a novel event. Right, we're still in the murky throes of this competition. So this could be a real hellraiser, this one. Anybody that actually gets Howe's moves has got to explain it. That might be more tricky. Right, okay. Anybody else? Knight h4 has been suggested. Either of the rooks to e1. Knight d2 has been suggested. Hands up, please. You know, it's difficult. No, you've had a go already. Clearly, you want these books, you know, at all costs. I'll sell it to you for 50p at the exit. Come and see what's up. Yes, sir? King H1. Can you explain that? I see. What's that? Super castling. Okay, well, curiously, he didn't do that. Bishop H3. No. 6. No. 7. No. 8. By the time you guess this move, Howland lost on time. 8. What's the point of that? No. 9. The explanations become more and more convoluted. That's 9 moves. 9. Nowhere near. This could break the record. It's like looking at some sort of study competition. You know, mated 3. You just pick the most ridiculous move, and that is the right answer. Right, that's 9. That's a clue. Yes, please. No, that's far too sensible. 10. Okay. No, that's a normal move. 11. I did say this move is ridiculous. Right, Simon Williams is here. Round of applause for our friend there. And Jack, excellent. We just get this little competition out of the way first, and then would you be prepared to show us the game? Excellent. Right, so come on then. We had 10 guesses. Nobody's even near. What did David Howe play in this position? Yes, sir. Sorry? Right, Rook A2. In order to get that move, you have to have come in from the playing hall. Why are you saying Rook A2? That is correct. To play Rook F A1, correct? I mean, that's as good as explanation as I can. Yeah, but I mean that's an unbelievable move, isn't it? All right. Anyway, congratulations. Round of applause for our friend there. Come and get your prize. And we're going to take the commentators are going to take an afternoon break now, and Simon Williams is going to come and entertain you, hopefully with interjections from Jack. And we're going to look at that game now. So thank you very much. We'll see you in about 20 minutes' time. Over to these guys here. Well done. Right, okay. I'll give up my seat. You're welcome to come in here. Bear in mind we're live on YouTube, so keep it polite. There you go. Jack, do you want to come and sit down here? There you go. Okay. Feel free to give out as many prizes as you like. Nice.
Any copies of Bamboo Machine?
No copies of Bamboo Machine that arrived in the building. Right, over to you.
So, yeah, I mean, it's always dangerous playing Jack because, you know, he's a bit of a tactical genius. So, but I thought we'd sort of have some fun in the opening today because it's a lot easier playing you with white Jack. So I can sort of keep things a bit under control when I play you with white. But when I play you with black, it's always chaos. So I don't know how many times we played with black each other, but it's been a fair few times. But anyway, the game was Najdorf, and to be honest, I was a bit shocked about your next move, Bishop G5, because looking at the database earlier today, I saw that Jack normally plays Bishop to E3 in this position, which is I prepared a bit, and I've had this a couple of times before. Had this against Shirov actually quite recently, this move, but I wasn't expecting Bishop G5. So to be honest, I haven't really looked at this yet, but I know the sort of general ideas here.
Yeah.
And so I just thought I'd sort of play this line with E6, and Jack plays aggressively as possible with F4. And I think the main move here is probably Knight BD7. Is that right? I think I can remember
There are
some.
lots of moves.
I don't know.
Bishop
Queen
E7 is certainly the old main line. I don't know if it's still there.
Bishop E7, right? Okay. Because I sort of tended to
Last
recall.
time I had this position was black. I played B5.
B5. Oops. Let's go back. Sorry. Yeah. B5 here. Okay. Yeah.
Polagevsky variation, which is some very
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, yeah, there's one line here where you go b5, and then e5,
D takes E,
d takes e,
F takes E,
and then queen c7, which is completely mad. They take on f6, sometimes you go queen e5 check, winning the bishop. And this was played by Polagevsky in the 60s or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When there was no computers, he made this popular, but with computers, it's kind of going to be very dangerous for black. But I thought I'd just play queen c7. I was trying to kind of keep it safe, and I was kind of hoping you'd just take on f6 and we get a bit more boring position. But yeah, I didn't expect that. So queen f3 looks natural, I guess. b5. But I was a bit surprised about your next move because it kind of helped me gain some tempo, I thought, here.
So I
a4.
seem to be a tempo down on all the lines I know. And,
yeah. Yeah, maybe the mover I play is quite crafty because normally, as Jack said, black will have the bishop on e7 in this position and white will probably have castled.
Yeah.
And then I think the tempo of white castling compared to me having my bishop on e7 is better. It's a better sort of position for white.
Yeah.
Because this way I can sort of get more attack going on the queen side and I don't have to play bishop e7. Sorry?
Maybe I should just play a3.
Yeah, maybe a3, but I guess here I just go bishop b7 and we get the same kind of thing in the game. But yeah, maybe a3 is slightly better. Looks like a better try, but I mean, I really don't know what theory says here. It'd be interesting to see. Okay, but a4 was played, and I think you also have to go b4 in this type of position because I've had this against Jack before, and this type of structure I've taken on a4, and after something like rook takes a4, black has a really horrible position because white can always castle king side, and you don't really have any dynamic possibilities on the queen side here. So I think b4 is normally the move to play. And now knight to a2, so at least this knight's passive. And now I can develop and threaten the e4 pawn with tempo, so Jack has to defend this, and now knight bd7. I was even wondering if you should castle kingside, but I know that was not really in your style. Oh, can I just go queen b6, can't I?
Yeah, you can just go queen b6.
Okay, yeah. If Jack tries to castle queenside, then queen b6.
Yeah.
And...
That's a question.
Yeah.
Castle. Wasn't c4 or anything like that? You wanted to play c3 just to get this knight a2 now.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful of maybe knight c.
I thought this was the whole idea of playing
knight c5. Do you take on f6 then? Yeah, maybe c3 is a better idea. I mean, I guess I
was thinking maybe you could play
d5.
d5.
I thought, so why this might be
yeah. C3 is kind of normal idea here. It seems like I'm quite well positioned with this pin with the bishop on the queen, but c3 is definitely an interesting idea. I mean, so I can always try d5. Is that maybe d5 is trying to open it up because your king's still in the centre as well. My piece
There
is
are a
quite
couple
good.
of positions where you could play d5 and it would be good for you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I kind of didn't want to open up the centre of my king there, but I think this move d5 is very thematic in this type of position. So I think probably here black's at least equal. I'm pretty sure about that. Probably better somehow, but
that's I think d5 is why I rejected c3.
yeah, d5 looks like a good counterblow in the centre, and if e5, I guess I go something like knight e4, and you have to be careful now because I'm threatening to take on g5 and then take on e5 and just destroy the centre. So yeah, maybe that's okay. But okay, yeah, castle's queenside, brave, but this is the way Jack plays. And I really wasn't sure what the best way to play here. Now, do you think d5 now looks very sensible?
It's what I thought was best.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I should play d5 in this position. It makes a lot of sense just trying to get my bishop on f8 into the game. To be honest, I'm not really sure why I didn't play this. I mean, I thought if e5, then I was going knight e4. And I kind of saw this as a good position, but I don't know, I kind of got scared for some unnecessary reason, just my king on e8. It looks like if I'm trying to open up the centre, it could be risky. But I think d5 is just a very good move because it's very hard for you to open anything up here. Well, okay, knight c5 was interesting just to try to attack here, and also threaten e4. So I think rook on e1 is correct. And now the problem now, if I go d5 in this position, you might be able to take on f6 at some point. Is that right?
I could take on f6 immediately. I wasn't sure.
And this is quite messy now. Because if I take on f6, then you take on d5. Bishop takes d5 and queen takes d5 is rather embarrassing for me. So, yeah, so d5 is not so strong now. And I was also thinking maybe queen a5 and also just knight takes a4 as well. I thought knight takes a4 is kind of probably okay. But I thought I mean,
I hadn't realised at the time that the pawn on a4 was on green.
Oh, really? Oh, right, okay. So, Well,
It
Jack.
gives you some idea of where my mind was at during this game.
Right. It wasn't with the game, no?
Don't know where it was.
No. It happens. Trust me. I've realised in the last 2 games that it can drift off occasionally. So, well, I was kind of a little bit worried about something like Queen H3 here.
Yeah.
And just for some idea of maybe taking on E6 of the knight at some point, and maybe trying to go E5 now that there's no pin on the queen, because obviously in this position you can't go E5 because the queen will be
There are
on
some
3.
positions in this line of Sicilian way where you do give up the queen.
Yeah, where you sack it. Actually, I saw a game you had against Neverov, maybe,
yeah.
was it, where you sacked the queen with E5 at Hastings in something like this. But I don't think it can't work here anyway. So to be honest,
Bishop needs to be on E2, but except lines to have any chance.
yeah, and then you can take back on F3 with the bishop. Well, I mean, to be honest, I just thought I'd play a move because this is always useful if I try to do something active a bit later, because then if you sack on E6 or try to open up the centre, it's at least less scary for me here. So bishop E7. I was kind of hoping you'd take on B4, because the one thing, I mean, B3 looks very natural here. This looks like an obvious way to try to just open up the position. Obviously, if white takes on B3, white's going to be losing here because there's some discovered check with the knight. But
Knight takes D3, for example.
yeah, knight takes D3 is just terminal, and that's the whole piece. So, but I was worried about you just go knight C3 here, and I thought, well, actually, I've helped your knight get a better square, because the knight's actually quite good on C3 because it defends E4, and you might try to sack it on D5.
Well, the idea behind knight takes B4 is to try to get it into D5.
I thought that was probably your idea, being the crafty hacker you are. That was after bishop E7, yeah, knight takes B4. And now, yeah, I guess Jack at some stage is trying to put his knight on D5. I mean, if I'm not careful, this is like a typical Sicilian sacrifice. I mean, I don't think it quite works. But, I mean, I saw my next move and I thought, well, I have this threat at Queen B6. And now I was quite happy with your knight because I thought your knight was misplaced and I got some tempo to get my attack in first, because it's really, I mean, you want to be playing, white always wants to play move E5 in this position. If white can play E5, then I think white's attack's probably going to be first, but obviously you can't play E5 because the pawn's pinned. So I don't know. Okay, there's some interesting lines later on. So F5 was very interesting for Jack. I mean, I could probably just go E5 here. This is a very sensible move. I don't know. Was there something? I mean, I thought maybe take on F6 and go knight D5.
Play on F6 and then play knight E2.
And okay, so takes knight E2. I kind of feel I should be better here. Maybe Queen B6 here, because
C3.
C3. Do I have?
Oh, you can take. I have to take back with knight. Yes, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll take on. I mean, I can even just take on A4 here as well again, and threaten some. I've got some big attack here. Yeah, this is probably very strong for me as well. I don't know if the game's good for me, but there's one move later on. Okay, it's very interesting, the game, the way Jack sacrificed to me. It's a very, very interesting sacrifice. Okay, I have to take a piece now. Take some E6. It's a blunder, okay. I shouldn't tell everyone that. You should just pretend it's a sacrifice.
I haven't just seen that after knight takes D3 check, all 3 recaptures drop a piece.
Right, okay. Okay, so actually, well, it looked quite a little bit dangerous as well. You know, I mean,
it is very dangerous.
I mean, I have to be very careful here. I mean, okay. I mean, for example, if I castle, which is the move I kind of want to play, then just knight to F5 here, and all of a sudden, like, I think you're probably just maybe even just winning, like you're on the verge of winning or something here. I mean, there's some nice lines where I don't know. Okay, let's just show this nice line. If you take here, I can go knight takes E7 check, king here, and sort of, I don't know if this works, but it's quite fun. Queen takes F6, and then obviously if pawn takes queen, bishop takes F6 as checkmate.
Yeah, there are a few flaws to that line, such as bishop takes rook.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's the kind of thing you'll be looking at, though. And it all looks very scary. So I don't know. If bishop takes rook here, you can even. I don't know. Is there anything scary here? I don't know. It's a very strange position, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I've no idea. Okay. Anyway, so queen takes A4 starts a counter-attack. Looks right. I think you have to go king B1, and now rook C5 is a good move because this rook can be a good defender as well.
I did have some. Put some thought into whether this.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We're too close to working, but.
Sure. Yeah.
I think if you go that way.
Yeah, I was going to go king D8 here. Yeah, that's right. And then if you now take on S6 the bishop, I think I can. Can I take on E4 here?
E4, yeah.
Yeah, this looks good. And then if you take on E7 with check, which is the only check you have left, I can go king C7. then you take on d6 check, and then king b7, and all of a sudden you run out of checks. So yeah, this is, and it should be, yeah, I've got 2 exchanges up, and your king's now going to face the
It's
attack.
going to be an exchange down the rook, because I can't hold on to the rook.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So it should be very good for.
Yes.
Should be very good. But okay, it's very. I mean, the game is still interesting here. And I think another point behind rook c5 is if you go knight to f5. I mean, I have some other ideas, but I think I can play rook takes f5 here. And if queen takes f5, I think I can go bishop takes e4.
Yeah.
This is what I was kind of relying on. Because obviously I've got to try and stop this knight f5 move, which is always very strong.
Yes.
And
Well,
this,
so I had to take on f6 first.
taking f6 is definitely the best move here. Knight to f5 looks natural. And again, I have to be careful. I think I probably have to castle, really. e7 must be the best move here. Okay, I mean, rook b8, I thought I could take on e4. I calculated originally, it's a very interesting line. I think you have to take on d6, and the line I wanted to play here was bishop takes e4 check. This is what I calculated originally. And now, yeah, rook takes e4, and I think this is a draw now. So I go rook takes b2 check, king takes b2, rook to b5 check, king to c1, and then queen to a1 check, then king d2, rook b2 check. I think you have to go to d3 here, but I think it's just a draw. If you go to e3, then I have queen c1 check, and if king d3, then queen takes c3 is checkmate.
Yes, I have to go to d3.
So in this position, unfortunately, because this would be a really nice mate, you have to go to d3, and then I have queen b1 check, and again, if you go to e3, I have queen c1 check with the same mate as before. But after queen b1 check, I thought you go king c4. And I was looking at 2 lines here. The first line was queen a2 check. And I thought, well, if you play for a win here, you lose. Because if you go here, king c5, then queen a5 check is winning. And it's going to be mate after king c4, queen b5 check. Or if the king starts running this way, this is just not going to work. Queen b6 check. If king d5, queen b5 is mate again. And if the king tries to run all the way down here, surely you can't get away with this. Well, I kind of stopped my analysis here, I'll be honest, but just queen, I don't know, can you get away with this? Are you getting away with this? Surely not. You shouldn't be getting away with this. Look at the king.
No, I'm not.
You're not getting away with this. This should be something very easy here, shouldn't it?
Queen b7.
Queen b7, and then king e8, touchdown.
Queen c8.
Oh, okay, nice touch, yeah. And then rook here, queen here, and rook b8. That's quite a long line, isn't it? But the problem with the whole line is after queen a2 check. Whereabouts? So if we go, I don't know, it's in position after king d3, queen b1, king c4. After queen a2 check, then the king can just go back to d3. And I couldn't see any way to make any progress here. I thought I had to take a draw. I mean, if rook d2 check, you go king e3, and now the only check I have left really is bishop g5, but you just go rook f4, and all of a sudden I'm going to be losing this position, I think, yeah. So I think that's probably a draw, unless there's something else there. So it's a bit of a computer line, really, that one. But I don't know, I couldn't see the win, so that's what I had planned after this. But then I suddenly saw this rook a5, but I got really worried here because I think what you played should be winning for me. Yeah, it's just quite simply winning, but I don't know if you can go queen d3. This is the move that worried me here. All of a sudden, it looks like such an illogical move, but and the point is now a very complicated position again. Obviously, you're threatening rook to d8 check, and if I go bishop takes e4, which is just crazy position because I think if you take on e4, I'm going to get my mate first. But now you can flick in a rook d8 check and divert my rook on b8. For example, I have to take.
Oh, it's just mate, the queen.
I know the queen's pinned, so here I go bishop takes, but now you don't take on d8, you just go rook takes e4, and I think this is probably winning for you.
Yeah. This
is just winning. So queen d3 was a move I suddenly saw. Again, I'm making some quite bad blunders this tournament, and I don't know if there's something else to play, but queen d3 was certainly a bit worrying.
Bishop d5?
Bishop d5, then I thought you could play now go rook d8 check again here, I feel. Because I think you have to divert this rook on b8 away from its square. And if rook takes, then you take. I have to take. And the point of this rook d8 check, the rook on the b file is moved away. So in this position, white can always take the bishop and actually.
Queen a1 check.
Oh, queen a1 check. Oh, good point. Aha, okay. So I was winning all the time. Maybe. Does that work? Bishop d5. Okay, that's a nice idea from Jack. Maybe it's still winning. Yeah, this just simple queen takes e1 always is annoying for you, isn't it? It probably should be winning with all my pieces attacking, shouldn't it? So
yes,
it really should be, shouldn't it? So yeah, okay. All right, and the game.
Always a bit of a desperate counter-attack.
Yeah, my pieces are very good, aren't they? And, you know. Okay, and the game finished. Rook takes f6, and now queen takes a1.
I just got completely obsessed with bishop takes e4, just hadn't seen queen a1 check.
Right. Okay. Oh, bishop takes e4 immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. In this position. Yeah. Luckily, I've got the simple solution after here. Bishop takes e4. Again, I think it's like the last line somehow. And I think you're probably escaping. But
yes.
After queen a1, king c2. Again, I can go bishop e4 here, but I haven't got any more than a draw, a bit like before. But just queen takes e1.
Yeah.
And there's nothing.
Queen's guarding g3.
It is, because otherwise you'd have knight g3 check, knight h6 check.
Yeah.
I just had to watch out for this move. And if pawn takes, Jack would like to play queen to g3 check and pick the rook up on b8. My queen on e1 is covering this square. And if you try something like queen g4 check, my rook, which is also a good defender, can come across to g5. And you're just running out of wee pieces, aren't you? So, unfortunately. So that was that, basically. Yeah. I've seen you play 3 GMs and you should have probably beaten them all, yeah? So, is that right?
You're the 5th GM I played.
Oh, 5th GM, okay, right. That's pretty tough pairings for you.
Yes.
So, yeah, but you always get some attacks going, so it's always good to watch.
Yes. Howell's the only one I never really had a chance against.
Oh, right, that was Stonewall Dutch. Yeah, okay. And I guess, is Hawkins just winning today? With a good position? He's much better, yeah. He's a pretty cool customer as well. He's the coolest customer in the world. I mean, he's just, he just sits there and just, not a care in the world. So yeah. No, I think Hawkins might win today. So anyway, cheers. That's,
Thanks very much. Sorry. Right, so without Ravi, my esteemed move counter, and other things as well, it's going to be quite difficult for me to carry on this commentary because I don't have the moves. So let's try and review what has happened so far. Now, I happen to know that in this game, they've played quite a few moves. Trying to guess them would be quite tricky. I know the position they've reached, but okay, we're going to have to wait with that one. The basic position is that I think White's a bit worse. I mean, White is a pawn down in this position, and he's got to try to prove some compensation. Basically, I think that move's getting e4 in, but there's nothing totally clear, and Black should be able to, I think, consolidate this with a little bit of care. I'm trying to think about what happened in this game. I think it went something like Queen d6, Knight h4, Black played f5, White took on b7, Black took with the king, and now e4. I think this is probably the position in the game. I wouldn't swear to it until he comes back. I can't actually guarantee it, but that's the sort of thing that happened. And White is still a pawn down. It's only a double pawn, but nevertheless, it's an awkward pawn for White to deal with because it enables Black to put a knight on b3 at some point. So if we just run the engine, I don't think you'll find things have changed very much. No, actually it's got worse for White than before. So I imagine the safest move is just to take that, and when he recaptures, well, I mean, the first instinct is just to put the queen there. So we don't need an engine to analyse this position. White is struggling. So that's the position as it is, and as Simon says, Hawkins is a very cool guy. He's playing Black against Howe, big game, 6.5 out of 7, and you'd expect Howe to be putting on a bit more pressure than this, because, well, unless anybody can see something, I just don't see what. I mean, for instance, that rook on a2, what the heck is that? Very strange. All right, so that looks a bit worse for David Howell, unfortunately. Right, Hebden versus Ems. Okay, so I thought that White was a bit better here, mainly due to the fact that Black has got this pawn on b4, which is a bit exposed. But on the other hand, White has got to be able to attack it or surround it or whatever. Hebden's really good at these positions, eking out a slight edge. But yeah, it's not so easy to see how. I mean, let's just flip this board. All right, so what would you suggest for Black? We were struggling to see moves here. Anybody got any suggestions? Oh, we were thinking either Rook FD8 or maybe A5. Either way, it's a slight advantage to White. And Yang Fanzhou versus Fernandez. Well, okay, Black just played Queen C5. White lost his opportunity in this game on the last move. If we just take play back here, he had to play Queen takes G5 in order to increase his advantage. And the idea is that after knight takes E4, knight D5 is played. So that's it at the moment, because I don't have the capacity to see any more moves. The new system, whereby we have to wait for a second person operating a computer next to me, breaks down when the other guy's not there. So, all right, we'll take a few minutes break until Ravi reappears. I imagine that'll be about 5 minutes' time. But I'd just like to convey my thanks to Simon Williams and Jack Rudd for coming in to show us their game. So I think we're just going to take 5 minutes till Ravi reappears, and then we'll begin again. So please bear with us. Next round is back, all right? Well, we can start again when you're ready. Ready. Well, I'm pleased to say that Ravi has returned, and once he's got his computer up and running, we will reconvene. Already we've seen two results on the top boards. The game between the two Perk brothers was a very quick draw, and the game between Jack Rudd and Simon Williams you've just seen here live on YouTube. Simon Williams came in and displayed his excellent win. And we've got some interesting games left this afternoon on the top boards.
Yeah, I think it's board one that is turned quite interesting.
Okay, so let's turn to that. The last move I had was 14 Rook A2.
14 put in rook a2, and black played f5. sensible
Okay, so
move.
the move order was slightly inverted, yes.
And then knight to h4,
Yep,
queen to d6,
yep.
and then bishop to b7,
Okay, so we did get this position, yes.
king to b7,
Yes.
and then e4,
Okay, takes.
f into e4,
Yes.
queen into e4, queen d5,
Yep.
queen f4,
Yes.
and now rook h8. This is the position that I thought that, you know, Hawkins is a pawn up, but he's got some problems, isn't it? The first thing is that, where is he going to put his knight out in a nice square, isn't it? His knight needs a good square. And meanwhile, white's rook can come to e2 and do all those.
Well, what do you suggest now for white? Rook e2?
No, rook e1. I think that's what was played, you know.
Rook e1.
Rook e1, f6, to then.
Did I need to play that? Why could I not play knight c6?
You
Back from
can't
the
play
dead?
knight c6, but I think then it is rook.
e6?
Yeah, queen f6.
Well, I'll take on a3.
Yeah, you can, but
I will. I have.
Okay.
I should.
So the thing is that
I don't think it's that easy for white. I mean, white. You see, this looks like a normal position, but then when you count the pawns, white is pawn down. I mean, that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
It's a normal position where white's a pawn down. So I don't imagine he's got any compensation at all.
So you think after queen d5,
Well,
queen f4,
yeah, rook hf8.
rook hf8,
Has he played a move yet?
rook e1,
Yes.
and black played f6. And
Yeah,
I think,
I think f6 gives him compensation, doesn't it?
yeah, I think you should play knight c6 here.
Well, I mean, that just makes sense. The knight's, as you said, doing nothing on the edge. Get it back into the game.
And I think now, you know, looks like, you know, Hawkins has returned his pawn now, and he played e5.
I mean, probably, actually, I tell you what I think white would have done then. Knight to g2.
Yeah,
And then
that
brought
was-
the knight to e3.
Yeah, you know, the main plan white had, double the rooks on the e file, put the queen on an f6, some kind of an unassailable square, maneuver the knight to g2 and f4, and then, you know, black is in trouble there.
Well, or even knight e3. I think e3 is a very key
Yeah.
square for the knight.
Yeah. So I think he made a decision to play f6, and then when the rook a to e2 came, he just decided to give the pawn back.
Well, if we run the computer, it says knight c6 as the best move. I'll be intrigued to know what happens after knight g2. And then apparently just go queen to b5 or queen to a5. And keep that pawn.
Yeah,
It's not really surprising the computer suggests that. I think once he goes f6, white is in business. And you see the evaluation goes right down. Rook a e2 is given as
Played in
white's
the
best
game.
move, yeah. And now black has to play e5.
Yeah, Hawkins played e5.
And then that's tending towards equality.
Yeah, f takes e5, queen takes e5, queen takes e5, rook takes e5, knight c6,
Yeah.
rook 5 to e4, and he's gone rook d2. And that's where it's been like 9 minutes left for black, and I think he's got a major problem there, isn't it? He's got to do something with the black rook's activity, isn't it? I mean, he can take the pawn on c4, but how is he going to, if he has to play something like rook f1?
Taking the pawn on c4, rook f takes f2, white's getting killed, surely.
Yeah, I think he's got to play rook f1 now, isn't it?
Well,
Rook-
but that's
either
a
rook
horrible
F1 or
move.
Rook 4 to e2.
Why can't I just play my rook back to e2?
Yeah, and then I think if you play rook 4 to e2,
No, I'm going to play rook 1 to e2. I want to keep my rook active.
yeah, and I think then you might put rook d3 and then go after the pawn.
Well, then I play rook 2 to e3 and just accept that it's, you know,
Yeah.
going to be drawish.
Yeah, but I think
Well, that's a result for white. He was much worse before.
yeah, I think rook d2 has been played.
I think Hawkins is,
So what-
is kind
so
of
what-
playing this
what's wrong?
safe.
I mean, my motivation is, isn't this ending winning for white if he gets a 2 against 1 majority? Isn't he sweeping black, and you know, black is now primarily depending upon the pawn on c4 for his counterplay, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, surely black's very active here. How are you going to ever get this if I keep perpetually attacking
I
your
mean,
pawn?
what happens if I just took rook c4 and allowed you rook ff2?
well, I would imagine you'll get wiped out. But I have yet to prove it. Do you really want to allow this?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think he would allow to.
I mean, only black can be winning this position, Ravi. Come on.
Yeah. So.
This is terrible.
So I'm thinking it's rook e1 to e2, solid.
Okay, then black will probably take a draw.
Rook d3.
Yep.
And then rook 4 to e3.
I mean, I can also check and play rook a1. Am I really losing that? Check king g2, rook a1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you take on c4, take on a3.
Yeah, there's all kind of tricks there happening there, isn't it? And rook d2 played 7 minutes and 43 seconds going down. And you can see that, this is going to be, and Hawkins has an hour left on his clock. So if Hawkins gets enough round to play, and Hawkins would be happy with the draw, isn't it? And it is up to Howell to prove that he's got this majority, the king side, and he can work something, and now he's attacking the pawn on c4.
I mean, he did bottle it a little bit to an extent, because
I just
that
want
move knight c6 is so obvious. Don't weaken your pawn.
So can I just play rook f4, ugly move rook f4 here?
What, in the final position here?
No, not
Rook
play,
d2, rook f4.
Rook f4, just play ugly.
That's a
But
hideous move, Ravi, hideous.
No, rook into f4, g into f4. I've got a pass pawn.
Is that PAST? Right, I'll take this off.
G into f4.
Okay, now how are we going to win this?
Well, I don't think I'm going to win this one because I have a pass pawn. And
You're going to win it?
You can go
You
and
must be joking. Rook d6.
f5.
Okay, rook h6.
And knight to f3.
Knight to f3. Rook f6.
Okay, knight, okay. So
Stop. Yes, please. Thank you very much. I'll let you know.
So rook to, I shouldn't play f5 for rook to.
No, well, I mean, I don't think you're winning it, are you? You can play rook e4.
No, should I play rook e4 here, centralizing?
Yeah. Okay, rook e4, wow. Okay, let's get a pass pawn on the queen side. b5. Where's that? I mean, you're not winning this, are you? You've got 5 isolated pawns. And 2 of them are doubled.
It's now down to 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 55 seconds. And
the thing is with Howe, he gets short of time, then he starts playing for a win. That can often be, a weakness. He's thinking, I know exactly what he's thinking about. How do I play for a win here?
Yeah, and I think he needs to win this, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but
any chance at the time? He hasn't played Nick Burt, has he?
I don't recall him playing Nick Burt. No.
So that's one of the last ones.
But how are you going to win this if Black just plays remotely sensibly? I mean, he's been a bit lucky as it is to get this opportunity because Hawkins didn't need to play f6. I mean, I just think this is equal because White's got a, defending against rook takes f2. He'd probably play that rook 1 e2, and now, well,
I mean, irrespective of this result could determine. But would it be possible that next round Howell is going to play against Nick Burt, whether he wins this or draws this?
What, you're anticipating a draw here? I mean, for instance, after rook e2, if I even take this rook and go b5, are you really going to win this? If I get a pass pawn on the king side, queen side very quickly?
Yeah.
How are you going to win this? King comes to b6, a5, b4. Only Black can be better, surely.
No, he's quite. I think it's down to 4 minutes and 31 seconds. So he's going down rapidly on the clock. He's got 15 moves to make, and he's probably thinking whether he should be able to do some kind of a move to keep the advantage. But I think that the plan that Andrew said of knight c6 and queen d6 and queen a3, that would have been much double-edged rather than playing f6. And I think that f6 was a good move. And White should. This is not a position to play with 4 minutes left on the clock.
White should not lose this if he plays for a draw, let's say.
Yeah.
It's only if he plays for a win can he lose this position.
No, but you see, the game with Simon Williams is kind of repeating itself. Isn't it? With Simon Williams, he had a draw, and he was short of time. The position was very, very thin. And then after he played rook h2 and rook h5 in that game, you could see that he's like a million miles away. Far away in the galaxy, and in this game, he's arrived at a critical situation. 3 minutes 25 seconds on the clock. He's probably going to rattle a few more moves, but he's working, and now he's played f4.
He played f4. You see,
Yeah.
okay, so that he's playing for a win.
Yeah.
That says he's playing for a win.
So f4.
Well, my first thought is rook c2.
Well, should he play b5 and just hold that pawn? Is that what?
Oh, I see. You can whip the pawn off. All right.
So can I just play b5 now, which also?
All right, b5.
Yeah. And you play f5 now.
Well, rook b1, I can win a pawn, can't I? Oh no, you can play king a6 then.
King a6. And then rook e6. It's quite tricky. Is Hawkins going to just play rook to? No, he's got this pawn on f4 move as set up the threat, isn't it? On f5 and f4 has been played, and Hawkins is thinking there's no more moves there, and f4 I think keeps some kind of thing in the position.
I mean, I instinctively shied away from that move because it weakens the second rank. But maybe
But if
he
you
can't
play
get in on that.
b5, can I play rook b1?
Yeah.
And then when you play king a6, I play rook e6. You're in trouble there. You've
Well,
got to go
I've
back.
got to play king b6 then.
Yeah.
And then you can bring your knight into the game.
Yeah.
And that would be winning for you.
Yeah. So I think this is the critical move. He's come up with a good move. Hawkins has got to solve the problem.
Rook a2.
Okay.
Slight advantage to black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rook a2.
Rook a2.
Yeah. That's.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Rook a2, rook into c4.
And rook a3.
Rook a3 and then knight f3 back. I mean, the computer can
So this
see
is rook a2.
every possible position. Like a couple of days ago we couldn't predict that Nick Ford game, and that king and 3 pawns.
Yes.
And Nick Ford actually went on to win that game. I mean,
Well, I mean, my first thought is really to get the a pawn, get a pass pawn going. To either come back to the second rank with rook a2 or to go a5. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, it's still very double-edged. It's pretty unclear. But f4 announces that Hal wants to play for a win. That's it. He's going for it. But he goes for it in strange situations. He gets very short of time, then he starts to go for it. So it's very risky.
so he has to play rook a2, isn't it? That's
Well, he
what
can
you're
play
saying.
rook c2 according to the computer.
But rook c2, if I play rook c4,
Then you attack the rook, I think, knight a5.
knight a5, and then then you get the pawn back, is it?
Yeah, but I like this less because I've had to put my knight on a5.
See, the one of hallmark of Hawkins is he plays computer's moves. He's just gone rook a2. See?
Yeah, I'm sure, looking at his style, he plays like a computer. You get up deep fritz here and you see he regularly plays the first choice, move after move after move, which tends to suggest he's worked very hard with computers. You begin to play their moves.
I mean, no hidden wires in anywhere.
Come on.
No. I just wanted to get that out of it, Nothing. He doesn't even get out of his boat, so that's nothing.
He's got an accomplice in the car park road using mirrors.
Put a prints on the car park and mirror it up just that some kind of a bad signal that only he can see the move.
Okay, rook a2 then. Well, all right.
Rook and c4 play.
Yeah, take
And
a3.
I think after rook into a3, I think white is probably going to play rook e7 there, you see?
No, they've got knights attacking.
Oh, he can't even play rook e7. So for rook a3, now not only black is also threatening to play rook d8 and into his back rank as well, isn't it? That's another tricky thing, isn't it? So one of white's rook has to remain on the back rank.
Yeah, but the thing is...
does he need to take on a3? Can he play the move rook d8, which is threatening?
Yeah, but when you come in there, what are you doing? Because the knight on g2 holds everything together.
So
That's the problem.
he's taken rook on a3.
Yeah.
And time on the clock is about 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
I mean, that also gives him a pass pawn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is what black needs.
So 4 pawns against 4 pawns. Slightly disparity in the way it's distributed. and you can see that it's going to be who's going to be able to get that pass pawn moving. The only advantage White has that White has already pawn on f4, so rooks need to remain on the board, and whatever happens in this.
I say, looking at this, Ravi, looking at this, I feel that only Black can be better.
Yeah.
And the reason is, it's not the pawn on f4, it's the weakness of the king. I think as long as Black keeps the rooks on, White's king is actually very weak in this position, unless he can get it going right away. So, I mean, king g2 would appear to be, a more sensible way of playing, wouldn't it?
And now Howell has played f5.
How got the guys going?
Yeah.
Okay. So is he going to go rook f4?
Yeah.
All right. So you can see Howe's making considerable attempts to win this game. Okay, well, let's see. That pawn isn't going anywhere for a while, is it? So what if I was to play rook a, rook a5 or rook a2? And rook a2 looks right, but maybe it's not right. Rook f4.
The problem is Black can't blockade rook f6 because in comes g4 as well.
Well, how about rook a5 then?
So rook a5, possibly play rook f5,
Rook f4. Well, then I wanted to play knight e5, threatening knight d3.
There's a rook on e1.
No, I've got my rook.
So I think that rook a5 is a crucial move there. And he's got 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and he's pressing ahead for the win.
b5, clear advantage to Black, according to the computer.
b5.
Yeah, just push the pawns.
b5, then rook f4.
Rook f4, okay.
So is it rook on c3?
Rook takes c3.
Yep. He's
we
playing
do that?
b5.
Sorry?
Plays like a computer. You see, the moment we come up on a conclusion and say b5 is the best move, Hawkins plays b5. And I think that
it is incredible the number of times he gets deep for its 13th first suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So b5 is very sharp.
Well, you wants to win that pawn.
So what about rook c5? You just play king b6.
King b6.
Yeah. And so if I had to play more like rook to g4, and then you play.
I'm going to take that pawn.
And then you're going to take on c3, and then I got one pawn f6, and you've got to do something about that, isn't it? I think the trick is going to be knight is going to jumping into d4 at the moment you take that.
You've got rook b1 here, or rook f4.
So rook b1.
King b6. Yeah. And just play out g4 and a5, just cold-blooded chess, because it takes White a long time to get that pawn moving. Black's rook on f8 in the right place.
Rook f4.
Rook f4, yes.
I think he's going to just.
Rook takes pawn.
Rook f4.
Rook takes c3.
So is it giving?
Man v machine.
Is it giving a lot of plus or?
1.1.
1.1 plus, so Black.
That's big, yeah.
So he's played rook f4. Clear motivation here. He's going to play f6 and f7, and then rook e8. That's the next two moves. So rook into c3, f6. What do you think you're planning to do there?
I'm looking at deep for its suggestion that I'll make my move. That's cheating. I'm going to turn it off. Right, okay, because I've already seen the move.
f6.
I'm going to take that pawn, son.
f6.
I'm going to push my own pawn, son.
f7.
All right. Don't get excited.
Then coming rook e8 next move.
You reckon? Right. I need to find a good move here.
Can I suggest that in this position, Black should take on c3, and when I push f6, just play rook f7.
Do I need to panic? Why don't I play?
No, it's more sensible than once you allow f7, that is the problem. Just take on c3.
All right.
I played f6.
Yes.
Don't play a5. Play rook f7. Okay.
If you say so.
And and it's going to be hard for the knight to come and chase away that.
Knight f3.
Knight f3, h6. And then you kind of rook e7 is not there. It's kind of a blockade, and that's what he's thinking, isn't it? So the advantage that Hawkins has is that he's got a lot of time, and while Howell has got to find another 11 moves here, and he's clearly gone for f6. And I think that rook f7 blockade is kind of ideal, and has to play rook onto c3.
Apparently, according to the computer, you can play a5 in this position.
And then
And when he goes f7, you go knight to d8. And if he plays rook to e8, you go rook takes f7, rook takes d8, rook takes f4, g takes f4, now b4, with a minus 3.8 in your favour.
Okay.
White's knight is looking a
So
little
he's
bit
taken on
remote.
c3. He's taken on c3.
Yeah,
He's played f6.
yeah. Now, if he goes a5, that's Deep Fritz's suggestion.
Yeah.
The tension mounts every time he plays that computer suggestion. Rook c4 is coming up as a good move as well.
Rook c4.
Yeah. Rook c4 is now the first choice of Deep Fritz.
So what rook c4? If I play rook into c4, you play b into c4. Then that pawn needs protection, so he's got to go to f1, and then the king comes up, isn't it?
Well, we'll come to some endgame there where black's a pawn up, won't we?
So Hawkins has time. You see that's the advantage in this position is that he can take. Okay, so this is all happening on board one. White is trying to win this game. Black is now a pawn up, but that pawn on f6 is the key, and it can play a5. But I think rook f7 is a human move.
Or rook c4 perhaps.
Rook c4. Safe, isn't it?
All right, let's move on. Hebden Ems. We haven't seen this for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So we might have to play through a few moves quite quickly. So knight bd2 was my last move on move 16.
Yeah. a5 was played,
a5, okay.
and in came knight d4.
Knight d4. So perhaps he's heading for the outpost on b5.
Knight e5.
Knight e5.
Queen e3. The move I said was a nice move.
Yep.
Rook d8.
Which one?
Rook f to d8.
Yes.
And then knight b5, heading for the d6.
In comes the knight.
Rook ac8.
Yep.
h3. Cool h3.
Could he be thinking about f4?
Yeah. And then he played knight c5 to d3. Bishop takes d3. Rook takes d3. Queen e2. Cool move. You know, this kind of move. I mean, before I even contemplate about, you know, what this position is all about, Hebden has an hour on his clock, and Ems has 1 minute 36. So that speaks, you know, he's like, he's got this middle game positions, you know, in his memory. It just recalls, okay, that looks right, that looks right.
Well, but even so, is white winning here or better after rook c d8?
Yeah, rook c2 was played.
Really?
Yeah.
Rook c d8 looks good as well, doesn't it?
Rook
c2,
c2,
yeah.
now f4,
f4.
Queen d8,
Something must happen.
fe5,
Yeah.
Rook c d2, Rook d2, Rook d2, and now Queen e3. So this is the kind of a position where Hebden now has established a powerful outpost on
d6.
on d6 square, isn't it?
Yeah, but black can win a pawn, can't he?
So he played Rook d3.
I mean, what's wrong with rook takes b2? Is it just knight to d6?
Yeah.
So let's have a look at this. If rook takes b2, you're going to put your knight on d6. And that's a pretty strong square for the knight. Because despite the fact that black's a pawn up, the queen on e3 protects against a lot of black's tactics. And white's got various ways to build up his position. I mean, I imagine bishop a6, there's a problem with that. Can you go queen a7 even? There you see the immediate problem. We're attacking the bishop, the pawn at f7. So black has got to be careful in this position. So it's no real surprise that he went rook d3 instead. So he's trying to stave off the idea of this knight coming into d6. So queen f4 by Hebden, was it?
Queen f4, rook d1, rook d1.
Right, off comes the rook.
Queen into d1.
Yeah. King h2. Yeah.
And queen d7 back. So with queen a4 is knight d6, and then queen d7.
Right. So queen a4. Let's take a look at this. Knight d6 is very strong.
Queen d7 is it?
I
I don't know why he didn't play queen a4.
Right, let's have a look at this. Just let's check it out. There must be a reason.
So queen a4. Is it queen d2 first?
Well, on queen d2, why can't I play h6?
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't take the pawn a4. Must be time pressure.
It is quite hard to see why he doesn't take this. There must be a reason, though. Can't see it. So when you can't see it, you check it. Yeah, queen takes a4, knight d6, queen d7, just queen f2 with compensation. Queen d7, queen f2. And despite the fact that black's a pawn up, he's a little bit constricted because white's going to play his queen to b6 or a7. That's the issue.
So I played queen d7 directly, then queen e3.
Wait a minute, king h2.
Bishop c6.
Wait a second, just a second. So queen d7 directly, knight d6.
Yeah,
Why isn't this the same variation with just a pawn less?
yeah. Bishop c6 was played.
Yeah, b3.
No,
Oh.
no. Queen d7, queen e3 was played. We missed queen e3, and then black played bishop c6.
Sorry, you said
Queen e3.
queen d7, right?
Queen e3,
Queen e3 first.
and then bishop c6, threatening to win the pawn. And now knight d6, and then now bishop into a4.
Yeah. Queen b6.
Queen b6,
Yeah.
h6,
Yeah.
queen into a5, f6,
Yeah.
queen into b4,
And all this with M's in time trouble.
yeah, fe5,
I mean, it looks pretty horrible for black now.
queen c5,
Hang on, fe5, yes.
king h7, b4,
Lost.
queen e7, queen into e5.
Wait a minute. Not so fast.
Complete domination, isn't it? I mean,
b4, queen e7.
queen e7, queen into e5.
Yeah. M's just ran out of time, didn't he?
Yeah,
He just ran out of time.
yeah. So what would happen? Oh, he was aiming for that. So
Is this game over?
bishop b3,
Bishop b3, yeah.
and had Dennis thinking.
Well, why can't he just push his pawn? Just roll the pawn up. Bishop's useless, isn't he? Pawn just walks home, doesn't he? Don't see any reason why it shouldn't. So at what point did that go wrong? I mean, because back here it looks as though black was well in the game here. Just need a good move. So back in this position, should he have doubled his rooks? Should he just keep more control over the position by doubling the rooks?
Well, how does black get out of the pin then? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, rook cd8 is the best move of course. Queen g5 is possible. Rook cd8, I'm sure that was the best move, just keeping the pressure on. Rook c2 still looks like better for black. Still better for black.
Queen c5 check and then rook e3. I expected to check with c5.
Queen c5 check.
Yeah.
King h1.
Rook e3.
Rook e3. Yes.
This is what I expected with the opponent.
And then we go queen takes rook and knight c4. How about that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just a lucky shot. Sometimes it helps to have a 3000 rated computer by your side. So I'm sure Edwards was getting into time trouble at this point. Is it still better for him according to the computer? Takes, queen e3. The advantage is declining now. Rook d3 is down to equal.
It's the final.
And now this was the point where he played rook d1 check, exchanging off the active rook for the passive rook. he should just go check and queen e3 and keep his rook active. Check, king moves somewhere, well, I'm not even sure where. Should we go there? And then in. That's the way to play it. Because if you think about it, what the position he's reached in the game is a position where his queen is being completely throttled by the knight. That is his issue. So I've got 37 bishop b3, and now, of course, it's completely winning for Mark. So, yep.
b5 was played.
Yep.
And white played queen c7.
Black played queen c7.
So I don't like this position. You know, there's a pin on the. So is it like the centralizing queen d4 now, or what? Put the queen on d4, pawn on e5, and then b6, b7.
Well, why not? I mean, what's black going to do against that? Queen d4 is a perfect move. All done, Ravi. No, it's lost.
Okay.
Any more moves? Is that it?
No, that's it.
So we expect Hebden to win that one, and queen d4 looks like a very good start. As you quite rightly say, e5, b6, and then the pawn just marches home. If black has to defend with his queen on b8, we can go queen c5 and then queen c8, and it's easy to uproot the queen from b8. So that is a win for, and black went wrong in, well, probably the most critical mistake was around here, where he swapped off his active rook with passive rook. Just checking queen e3, he's on the board. So, all right, so back we go to Zhu versus Fernandez. Now, this was intriguing.
Yeah, queen c5.
Just to review this position, Yang Fan missed his chance. He had to take that pawn and then in with the knight. That was the way to keep the advantage. He didn't find it. Fernandez played queen c5, and now black has got a pretty good position. Okay, now what?
He played queen c5, then knight a4.
Right.
Bishop into a4.
Yep.
Bishop into a4. b5. Bishop b3. Knight h5.
Well, that was on the cards for some time, wasn't it? I mean, it's just increasing dark squared control there. So, okay, knight h5. And now?
Competition move.
Competition move, all right then, okay. Experts versus the Sicilian. Now, what more appropriate book could you have than that for this competition? Perhaps Yang Fan Zhu should have read it before he ventured this game. So, there it is. All you have to do is to predict White's next move. And if you've seen it played in the tournament hall, don't enter. That ruins the whole thing. Who said that? Is that correct? It's another one of Ravi's one guess competitions. That is the correct move. Round of applause for our friend there. It's always muted when they get it on the first go.
Why c4 extra?
This experts versus. All right, black takes it, D.
c4 he played knight f4.
Okay. Rook c2.
b4.
Rook c2, b4. Yeah.
I think here, Fernandez is trying to create some kind of a bind on the dark squares, isn't it?
Well, he can also put his king on g7 now, can't he? That's got quite a safe square. I mean, if there's any sort of check, we can just run our king over here, can't we?
Okay.
Is that not good?
It's possible, yeah, but I think White has this thematic breakthrough at some point.
Well, let's see.
So, queen d2, king f8.
Queen d2.
King f8.
King f8, yes.
Bishop a4, activating the bishop.
Yeah.
Queen a5.
Right.
And then b3, protecting it. Queen c5. I think he's just, I don't know. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to just say...
Well, first of all, he's who trying to do? White or black? You've got to be a bit clearer than that.
He's the one pushing ahead, isn't it, for the win?
Do you think so?
So
I found this quite a difficult game to commentate on, to predict the moves, because some of the moves have been a bit odd, haven't they? To say the least. I mean, for me, it looks like Black's the one pressing, because White's got to look after his king.
Knight c6 was played.
Yeah, bishop.
Knight c6.
Okay, that looks like
a5.
a good move. Yep.
Queen d4, queen d4.
Okay, that's different now. Queen d4.
Queen into d4.
Yeah, and what did Black?
Knight into d4.
Right.
King g7. Knight c6.
Hang on, so I can't play bishop f6 there. That's where I
No.
want that bishop. You just go knight c6 again. So
Yeah.
king g7.
Knight c6 back.
Yep.
Bishop f8.
Right.
Key move e5.
Okay.
d5. And now c5. Just, you know, I think it's being closed completely, you know, but that passed one is going to generate a lot of play for White. And I think that.
Well, it's quite good play by Yang Fan, because he's cut the rook on h8 out of the game, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he seemed to be getting this kind of positions. Against Hawkins, the rook on h8 was out of play. And the game,
Fernandez?
yeah.
How's he going to get that rook back into the game?
So,
He's going to have to play f6, isn't he? That's the only way. f6 has got to come at some point.
so rook to c8 played.
Probably
Bishop to
sometime
b5,
soon.
Bishop to b5.
Yep.
Rook to c7. King to b2.
Yep.
f6.
That had to be the right moment.
E into f6. King into f6. a3. And the way this looks, you know, I mean, like, Black has this knight on f4, which is like a massive knight, which is like holding the position together. And he's got to somehow try to, you know, consolidate this. And Yang Panzer has played a3 because we would like to play AB, and knight, you know, AB, and rook a1 and get in there.
Well, let's give it a test. I'll take on a3,
King into a3.
and now e5. Let's get the boys on the roll.
Yeah, this looks King a4.
Oh. I've still got the same problem that my rook is cut off.
So I think taking on
Hang on,
a3
no, I can get away with this. Yeah, d4. King takes.
Yeah.
Knight e6. But then you might go king b6. Getting more and more hairy, isn't it? Well, until Black can get that rook into the game, it's got to be better for Yang Fan. That's clear. Black needs to get that rook into the game. So whatever he does over the next few moves, it's absolutely certain that rook must play somewhere. So what happened next?
Bishop e7.
Bishop e7.
And you know, I mean, White is not going to exchange that knight for the bishop. That knight on c6 is fantastic. The bishop on b5 is fantastic. The one piece that White can try to get is his rook on d1 to open file. So, but Hernandez has played bishop e7 and now he's freed the rook on h8. His possible move, next move is possibly
Rook h8.
rook at c8. And so is ab4 the correct move now? 8x b4.
All right, I'll take back.
And then rook d1 to a1.
Rook a1. How does that help if I double up?
Double up, and then I come rook a6.
Just keeping the bind. Well, is it now time for e5? I mean, I think. Oh no, you give a discovered check. I can't possibly do that. It's such a difficult position, then, isn't it?
I think that king belongs to f7. That knight on c6 is like, you know, Rock of Gibraltar.
I
It's
can't
not going to move away.
budge that.
That knight on c6 is going to, you know, dominate the whole game, isn't it?
Well, I may have to move my knight from f4 to get rid of it. So what if I play knight g6? Well, I could go knight d3. Didn't see that. That's why. Oh, that's quicker, isn't it? Let's try that. Good idea. Check.
You win the pawn and the game.
How about that? That's a good move, isn't it? Very good move. Very good suggestion.
So that's why I think the rook on d1 is tied as well. Then well spotted by the audience, and I think that's why he's thinking now, because the main threat is you don't want to play knight to d7. You can't play knight to d7, king to d7, c6, but that's not good. So he's played a b4 now.
Yeah, I imagine Fernandez.
A b4, and I think he's got to do something against that knight. You know,
well, black's going to recapture, isn't it?
Can he play rook d4 now? That's interesting. I know I can't take on b4, but when you play rook at c8, I can take on b4.
You can't play rook, surely rook b4. Why? That gives me a free move with e5, doesn't it?
A b4,
okay.
Played in the game.
Yeah.
And now is he thinking rook d4, winning that pawn?
Well, okay. I think I'm going to double up now. Rook where? Rook b7. Yes, by I guess the rook will come. Bishop comes to a4 again. Oh, I quite like that. Well, I get his c pawn, don't I? What does he play about on this? Does he take the bishop and go c6? That might be the best. Yeah, he might win a pawn there. Just knight takes bishop and c6. So maybe your suggestion. Let's have a look at it. Rook b7.
Bishop a4.
Bishop a4, but now I'm protecting the pawn, or am I? Okay, I swing the other rook across to c8. It's hanging. It's a little bit hanging by a thread here, but I can get e5 in. I might not be too badly off after that.
So he did play rook d4 now.
Yes.
So I think rook b7.
It looks like the best move, actually.
Can he play rook into b4 or rook b7?
Well, yes, you can, but then
there's the cheap pawn. Oh no, there's no cheap pawn.
No cheaper. Yeah, White's got his pieces a little bit tied up. Rook c8.
Can I play knight e7?
Yeah, you probably have to, don't you? And then I'm probably going to take back. And you are threatened with knight d3 check here, which is a bit problematic. And then rook c b8 is a threat. So can you go here? That's the thing. I mean, it could be I could just, your pieces are so tangled up. Rook b6, then he has to move his. Yeah, I kind of don't trust this for white. I'm a pawn up, but I'm very tied up. And black's king can come to d6. The pawn can come to e5. Black could be extremely well coordinated. It takes white a long time to untangle this, if he can untangle it at all. Can he untangle this position even? I'm not sure he can. It'd be interesting to see what the computer thinks about that. Let's have a look at this. Okay, it's giving it as not worse for black, and maybe slightly better. Yeah, it's not really surprising. I mean, look at the bishop and that pawn. The unprotected rook. It's really difficult to get your act together. And I've got immediate threats. I mean, it's not as if I don't have a threat.
But he's played a different move now.
Okay,
he
go on then.
Doubled his rooks. He went a couple of moves earlier, and he just doubled the rook.
What, rook dc1?
No, he played rook d4. Yeah.
Oh yes.
And now black double rook h to c8.
Okay.
And the point is that if you play knight e7 is king e7, c6, that knight is going to triumph over the bishop.
Well, it's the same position as before.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same
So
as before. If he goes takes.
King into e7 play. And now Yang Panzu has to do something about the pawn on.
Well, he's going to come to the same sort of
He's
position,
got to
isn't it?
play C6 now. If he plays Rook B4, it's Rook C5.
Well, C6, okay, then I can get the other line if I
Yeah.
want to with Rook B8.
Rook B8, then Rook B4.
I mean, I quite like King D6. And if Rook B4, Rook B8, leave him tied up. I can't see how White can possibly win this.
So what was the problem with the G4 Knight D3? Is it King A3, Knight B4?
Oh, because I've only latterly played Rook B8. I play King D6 first. What do you mean you want to play this first?
No.
Rook B8 first. It's possible.
And interestingly, Hernandez has about 41 minutes left on his clock. Yang Panzu has
I think only Black can be better in this position.
1 minute 56 seconds to make whether he's going to play Rook B4 or he's going to play C6.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't, he's taken on E7. Has he taken on E7
With the
after
king.
doubling? Takes, King takes, White to move.
Yeah, 1 minute 41 seconds and make a decision. Are you going to take on B4 or are you going to play C6 and possibly it's... But I think that...
Well, if you take on B4, right, I take on C5. I mean, surely, maybe he could scramble something here, but it's going to be a scramble because I'm probably going to get this.
So he has to play C6.
Then I'm going to Rook, I think, well, King D6 or Rook B8. It's quite a nice choice. Once you let that king into D6, how the heck are you going to win this? You're never going to win this. Never.
So he's thinking, he's got 1 minute left and going down.
So Fernandez, his strategy has worked in a way, hasn't it? Create a very messy position and then play the opponent to a degree. Let's just see what the computer says here. C6 has been played. Should we play King D6 or Rook B8? Both of those moves look good. Rook B8, just getting the Rook to safety, and if Rook B4, Knight D3 check. Whoops.
Okay, we got one more move, is C6.
Yeah, well, Rook B8 looks good.
Rook B8 is the move, I think.
Played?
And then Rook into B4.
Was this played?
C6 played, Rook B8 played,
Yeah.
and now Rook into B4.
Was played?
No, he's thinking.
Well, because of Knight D3 check. That's
Yeah.
why he's thinking.
Yeah, can he play Bishop A4 now?
Now,
Yeah, Bishop A4, then it's comfortable for Black, isn't it? King D6.
King D6, E5. Black starts playing for the win.
Yeah. Can we jump back to head turn? It looks like.
So that looks as though Fernandez is winning that, or he's better. Right, now, Jack Rudd and Williams have finished. Howe versus Hawkins. Let's have a recap of this. We had F6.
He
And
played F6, he played Knight D8.
Aha, okay.
And White played G4.
Yes,
He played Knight F7.
yes.
And now Howell has played Knight F3. It's very, very complicated. But now that Knight has blockaded that pass pawn. So, you know, White is intending to play Knight E5 to remove that blockade. So
Well,
could
is it
that
really
rook endgame-
time to
Could
get
that
that
rook
right?
endgame be a win for White because his pawns are far advanced? And I think
Well, for
A5 is possibly he should have played A5, isn't it?
Or not Rook C4. Could he now play Rook C4?
Rook C4, Rook C4, BC4, then G5. You're not doing well there.
Rook
Or you can play
C4 takes G5.
Rook G8, H4, H6.
Smash you up. Rook E7.
Yeah, it's all trouble.
It's almost as if he's wasted a couple of moves with that knight.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
need to blockade the pawn.
Okay.
He could have spent the time better pushing his queenside pawns.
Yeah. So I think even now he should go A5, not Rook C4. And you go A5, and then if
Well, okay, I'll do it.
Knight E5.
Right.
You're not
that-
threatening anything. I would like you to take on F7, and then I take with the rook. Knight into E5, rook into E5.
I really want to take that knight.
So I think he's thinking, and he's now down to 29 minutes, and I can sense some trouble. How could win this game? You know, I mean, all he needs is to win a piece with that pass pawn, and to stop Knight D5, you had to play Rook C5, and then Knight D4. Howell gets all over. I think it looks like White is going to try to break through and win this game. That looks quite likely. I think the crucial move was he should not
Still
have
better
wasted.
for black according to the computer. A4.
And 94, or what was 94? A5 94.
The knight's already on
E5.
E5.
Okay. So he's thinking now, and he's got 28 minutes, and the first time in the tournament, Hawkins is, having some kind of a
Under
shot
some
in-
pressure.
and some pressure.
So A5 is the last move?
No, not played. Knight f3 played.
Yeah.
Hawkins is thinking.
Okay.
We still have 8 more moves needed, and I think Howell will comfortably finish it. And then if he finishes with a slight edge, this is quite a complicated position, isn't it?
Okay, which takes us to Hebden versus Ems. And has that finished yet? Ems is
No,
still
that
playing.
looks like quite a good technical chess. We left it when it was
Queen C7.
Queen C7.
And then we thought your suggestion of Queen D4 looked very strong.
He played Queen G3, even he says, I have the whole time in my head.
Right, well that threatens possibly Knight E8.
Yeah, at some point, if you leave the Queen, it's also Queen G7 check. It's also
That's
threat.
right, yeah.
Yeah, and so he played Bishop A4, and now E5, easy move to make. Right, just that Knight on D6 is so powerful now. And now Queen A7, and it's given Queen D3, King H8. So now it's a technique where he's got to find, the bishop is far away, and he's got to find a way to win that pawn. And Black's now looking desperately to come in on F2 and try to give some purple check on F4.
I much preferred your move, Queen D4, to this. All the same, this should be a win. What if I go Queen G6?
So is he going to play Queen C4 now?
Queen G6, go for mate. What are you going to do about that?
Queen G6 going for mate.
Yeah, simple as that.
So Queen G6, Queen F2, Knight F7 check.
Knight
Queen
takes
G8, Knight
H6
F6
check.
check, King
Alright.
F8, then Knight G4. Everything works for White.
I don't see what you're going to do.
Now I think what he's now thinking is that whether he can get his Queen to a centralized square where.
I mean, Queen G6 threatens Queen takes E6 as well.
So can't I play Queen C4 now? Am I not winning the E6?
But why do you want to play Queen C4 when you can go Queen G6? That blows him away, doesn't it?
Yeah, Queen C6, Queen F2.
Queen F2, okay, check.
King G8,
Check.
King F8.
Right, now I just need a good move. Okay, well, let's see.
That's the problem, I mean, you're thinking of finishing it straight away. I'm thinking of making him suffer
Slow
for
death.
the next half an hour. You don't get these positions quite often. Such a lovely position where opponent is waiting, like, command me, my master, some kind of a position like that. So why do you want to go and finish him off early? Make him suffer.
That's the way I am.
Make him think about the next game. Queen C4. Can we have Queen C4 on the board, please?
Sure.
No complications. Solid chess.
Fair enough.
The Queen is now tied down. I'm now threatening.
Well, you're also threatening Queen C8, and then Queen takes E6, aren't you? So, or Queen C6. Pardon? How do you mean?
No, go back to Queen C4 is better than say Queen E6 anyway. You don't need to keep checking.
I don't know. White's just winning this. I mean, I imagine that.
No, the Queen C4. The problem could be Queen E3, and then you have Queen E6. Then he has this perpetual check. So that is the problem with Queen C4. So that's why Hebden is thinking whether to give him access. But I think that bishop is out of play. So all he needs is to find whether this is the time to go into Queen G6, or because Queen G6, you also Queen E3 is there. That's a problem as well. So he cannot allow him that, and he needs to set up some kind of a. So I think that everything being equal, you're threatening Queen F2, and you're threatening Queen E3. I need to find a move to stop both.
Well, I mean, in this position, it's becoming clear to me that he should just go Queen D4.
What about
not muck
queen?
around.
Yeah. Oh no.
That
Queen
your
E4.
move was much
No,
better.
even in the final position now, Queen E4.
So he went Queen G3.
Yeah.
What was it again? Queen G3, Queen.
Queen G3, Bishop A4.
Yeah,
E5, Queen A7.
yeah,
Queen D3 check.
yeah. King G8.
King H8. And now
King
I think the
H8.
move is Queen E4. Hammering Queen E4. Make sure that Queen F2 is not a threat because you can play Queen into A4 and win with an extra piece. So that takes out that keeps an eye on the bishop on A4. And while you might eventually also get that B6 because you have that angle on the A4. So I think Queen E4 is a nice centralized move.
Black can scarcely move, can he?
Yeah.
All right. So any more moves? Hebden's thinking.
Okay. And
Is Hebden thinking?
no, I haven't thinking.
And you probably
We have a result on the top board,
Okay.
and it's a draw.
Okay.
And what happened was after knight F3, I think Howell offered a draw, and Hawkins took about 2.5 minutes. Think about it, and he said, tournament position, draw keeps me a point away. I got to deal with Nick Pert. That's the next round pairing, yes. But he's got this white, massive white, and you know, I mean.
Well, I think that's a sensible decision by both players, really.
So
because,
1 point lead with the last 3 rounds to go.
Well, let's just take a look at the final position here. I mean, it's not that clear. If Black plays A5, then according to the computer, he's better. But it looks as though Black could also lose, doesn't it? Unless he finds the good moves.
See, that's where positions like this are determined by your tournament point position. So him leading the tournament, makes it easy decision. Okay, why do I need to break my head for the next 2 hours? And even if I win this one, okay, I might get a 1.5 point lead. I'm going in with 1 point lead. And the hope is that he will have another draw.
It'll be half a point behind, won't it? Somebody wins. Somebody's going to win, aren't they?
Yeah, Howell is a point behind now. And he's going to play Nick Pert with possibly White, or it could be possibly someone else. He's played Yang Fanzu. He's played with he could be playing even Hebden, with White.
All right, so a draw it was. Can't blame them. It's a bit of a nervy game. That struck me as a nervy game. Howe was worse in this position after Rook E1, and if Hawkins had want to play flat out, he should have put his knight back to C6.
Can I get this question out of the way? Is there a playoff if it is tie?
No.
No. It's
Shared.
just the title is shared.
Because of this Trompo business.
Yeah.
So the answer to that is no.
No.
So can we go back? So it's a draw. Okay, so a draw in that game. Win for Williams. Draw in the game between the two Perts. That leaves us Hebden Ems, and Ems is absolutely suffering beyond all suffering. Which brings us back to Zhu versus Fernandez.
Okay.
39 C6.
Yeah, he did not. Rook B8 was played,
Good.
and White played Bishop A4,
Okay.
King D6,
Yeah, Black's coordinating.
King C1,
All right.
and then now King E5.
King E5.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. So that is an interesting move.
I think when the Rook comes to D1,
As
this
it will.
D4 is on the cards.
So let's D5. You mean
Yeah, D4.
D4?
Yeah.
So he's probably going to put his rook on D. Where would you put it? D2 or D1? Where would you put this rook, Harry? D2 or D1?
Doesn't matter to me. You get me.
Okay,
You are
well.
gonna face that 2 space invaders.
All right, rook D1. Come
D1.
on, rook D1. What are you going to do?
D4. D4. I got Rook C5 check. I got to be careful about that.
Well, have you? You haven't got to be that careful.
Yeah. You see, I can free my rook on C2. So I think that Rook D1, he doesn't need to even do that, isn't it? Can he improve his that Rook on C7 is going to do the blockade?
It looks as though we've reached a position where only Black can improve. Is that right? King moves, and then eventually he'll get these pawns rolling in the centre. We'll have a position where Black's got pawns on D4 and E5, and then it's a question of how does he make progress.
So hang on a minute. So if you played Rook D1 and I played D4 and then you played Rook C5 check,
Yes.
and I go to King D6 and then you go Rook A5,
Okay,
and then I
fine.
got to play e5.
Yes.
And then, you know, black pawns are rolling. Isn't it?
Well, I'm going to get my knight to c3. Thank you very much. That's horrible. That is disaster zone. So all this tends to convince me the right move is rook d2, because in this variation, note, g2 is unprotected. So you can see, I mean, I don't know exactly how it's going to go, but that is black's plan of improvement. And white has no corresponding plan. I mean, look at the bishop there. It's ended up as a spectator.
But can I also play another move there?
Can he get his bishop back into the game? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Can I also play d4? And then when you play rook c5 check, can I?
I don't think rook c5 check's the right move.
No, I'm saying rook c5, knight d5 is also possible. And then king marching to g3.
Well, that's also true.
Yeah. And then, you know.
You've got to be a bit careful now because I'm on this. How are you going to protect that?
Yeah, I'm planning to pull king d6 and then knights.
Ah, the king d6 is there as a threat.
Yeah, can I show my cheap? I've seen a cheap.
All right, well,
So
have I got to fall for it?
So let's say white does something pass like rook d2.
All right.
Okay, and then my knight is pinned. Okay, so king d6 is the move, and then he's got to
Oh,
play.
rook takes g5. We missed that.
So I don't think rook d2.
Okay, we've got to be a bit careful,
No,
but
he's
you
got to
can
play
see the
knight
plan.
d5. Can we go to the line with knight d5?
No, let's just concentrate on this because I don't think this is going to happen. What did he play after king e5?
No, there's no more moves. He's got 45 seconds to. Oh, he's finished the time control, so it's going to be long play.
Right, well, let's review what's going on then. So Howe versus Hawkins ends in a draw. Hebden versus Ems, Hebden must win. You know, there's no comeback from here for Ems. I mean, it looks much worse when you actually turn the ball round, doesn't it? Somehow White will win. You know, the bishop's completely offside. White's a pawn up. White will somehow win. I think possibly he's going to mate Ems.
I mean, the thing is that I don't like about queen d6 is that.
No, your move is better. Queen e4 is better. I like it.
Because then I'm threatening queen f4, you see?
You get complete control.
Yeah.
So Hebden's going to win.
Yeah.
Zhu versus Fernandez. Well, that I think is
So
going
you
to
play
go.
rook d to d, rook d4 to d2.
Yeah.
And then Hernandez went king d6 back.
Yeah, because he's just kind of
Yeah.
like that on the
Yeah.
torture element, isn't it? You know, e5 and d4 can wait until I'm ready. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. No more moves in Hebden.
It's horrible for White. He's going to sit there and watch e5, d4, knight d5, knight c3, and then, you know, the game continues in an hour and a half's time or something. It's just horrible. So this is going to be a horrible experience. And finally, Rugby Williams. Well, that was, as we saw, and thanks to Simon Williams for coming in, a nice win for Black. So I think we're going to wrap it up. And if we had games where we could, you know, take it forward, we would continue, and we will continue on future days. Just to remind you, the last round of this tournament starts at 9:30 AM, and we will be on air from 10 AM, I think, on Wednesday. So thank you very much for viewing online and for here in the studio audience in Aberystwyth, and have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 PM. Thanks very much.